Greetings, weary traveler, come, warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, tales of Tamriel. Brought to you through fire and storm, through the highest passes and the darkest dungeons. Not by our endeavors alone, but with the support of you, the torchbearers, the vanguard, the knights, and the champions. And tonight, by SDTLC, he who in the most dire of times rose from knighthood to become a champion and pledged his support until the sun bursts brightest again season's over. I'm your host Arkaniir, and we are back with a full house and a whole new episode. Starting with the man, the myth, the legend himself, LotusOfDoom. How's it going, Lotus?
I'm doing pretty well. Glad to be back.
That's always good to hear. Also joining us, as always, the joy of the show, the giggle queen herself, HyperPixie. How's it going, Pixie?
Going great. I missed you guys and feel like I haven't been on here in forever, so I'm happy to be back.
We have been a little bit irregular, but we have our excuses, all of us. But this week, also joining us, a special guest, a Nightblade, a son of Citis, Bron himself. How's it going, Bron?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Very happy to have you here.
I mean, having you here currently means, for anyone watching us on our video format, 2 AD flags on my screen, and I'm really not happy about this.
Double the AD, all for
wildly offensive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They're thrilled about it. Don't listen to them.
We are not. I mean, I did try to get rid of it, but I was not prepared for that flag to appear on Bron's camera as well, so my plans were foiled.
We planned ahead for this.
Yep. Had to get at least one in there.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, this is long overdue anyways, since
this is true.
The crossover, I don't know, 4 years in the making or something like that.
I know, right?
Something along those lines.
Well, hopefully we'll have a blast of a show this week. We have some news that is difficult to access to because of some other news we'll get to. But before I get into all that, we have a new 5-star review from Lycos, and I would like to read that. So it's titled Great Show. I listen to you guys every day while I'm at work, while going to work, and on the way home. I guess that's the benefit of recording several-hour podcasts, that you can use it on your commute and at work without running out of it. Lotus has the best tales ever. He always makes me laugh with his stories. This, I think we all agree. Arkaniir makes me die laughing with his North supremacy. It's not supremacy, it's just that Altmush suck. It's not North supremacy, it's...
No.
High Elf anti-supremacy. It's different.
Audio listeners can't hear it, but I'm rolling my eyes very hard right now.
The next sentence is, and Pixie is always defending the elves.
Doesn't say anything positive, just is always defending the elves.
You guys make a good group together.
I feel attacked.
That's amazing.
I mean, you did just defend, so in a way, so they are right. You know,
defending elves.
You played right into my folly.
Well, okay. How many reviews have we gotten in support of AD since I've joined?
I mean,
as opposed to that one.
It's got to be several 100% increase, because prior to that, I think we had 0.
Yeah, that is.
Well,
I
we
mean,
made everybody feel so unsafe.
Yeah,
is what it was.
The trend isn't good.
I'm spreading the AD influence all across Tamriel.
Yeah, this was a mistake. A big mistake. You guys make a good group together. Stay doing what you guys are doing. You are all amazing. Thank you so very much, Lycos. We appreciate that. And we love reading your
Thank you.
reviews. Even though some of them do come at my expense with AD and Guars, but it is what it is, you know?
I won't be speaking ill of Guars.
Look, man.
They're derpy.
Our anti-Guar movement
best mount in slot
is growing strong. We went from 2 people to 3 people in the last 3 years, so just so you know.
Again, another huge increase.
Watch your back.
Listen, I'm on the Cult of Noguar too. They're derpy. I don't ride them. I don't think they're evil, but they're too derpy for me.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
The derpiness, I even accept. I mean, Boots is derpy. Like,
It's true, but would you ride Boots into battle? Is the question.
No, she's the size of a football.
See.
Should be a fine distraction. I just like wave her little paws around, and everybody just get distracted. It'd be
Boots,
fine.
he's going to sacrifice you to Daedra. Please run, and I will take great care of you. You just want to run right into my house.
For the video viewers, you can almost see her. She's the little black smudge in the background.
For one episode,
actually
what we
Boots.
should do is just put our cats and dogs in our places in front of the camera, and that's the show.
Oh, that would be great.
That's a good idea.
I mean, that'll
only
be
problem-
100% more, like, we'll get more views and everything than us anyway.
You
So,
can actively watch my cat Chimera torment her cat Storm.
Oh my god. So, guys, listen to this. This is a crazy story. And his cat has an ESO name, so it plays right into the podcast. We're totally not getting off topic.
Counts.
Yeah, it's on. This isn't even a tangent.
yeah.
This is
So-
lore centric.
You guys have seen Storm. He is a giant, like 16-pound, massive, fluffy cat. His cat is literally half the size of mine, and she torments him. She will run up and hiss in his face, scare him away from food and water, won't let him into his litter box, chases him around the house all day. Anytime Storm wants to just peacefully look out the window, which is like his favorite thing, Chimera's right up on him, just hissing like crazy. It's like Queen Chimera hissing at the dragon in the trailer.
I
It's
was about to
exactly
say,
like that.
you
Exactly.
did claim some cats are dragons or something like that. So in
Yes.
this scenario,
That's-
Storm being the bigger cat is the dragon. Yeah, that fits
True.
in.
Yep. Dragons are cats, cats are dragans. It checks
Yeah.
out still.
Well, she may be getting close to him in weight now because she keeps eating his food. Little fat ass keeps eating his food.
Every time we look at the cat tree, like I put Storm's food up high, hoping that, like, at the time I had dogs too, so it was keeping it away from the dogs. Well, Chimera could obviously hop right up there. She chases Storm off and then eats all his food, so Storm doesn't get to eat.
Oh, no.
So we're about to have to go buy a
I'll come out
special-
there and she just like looks up at me and starts licking her lips like, yeah, uh-huh.
It's just been an ordeal in the house. And then the first night we were here, I was kept up all night because Storm was doing nothing but crying. And so I'd hear meow, 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 and I'd hear hiss, hiss. I'm like, oh God, it won't stop.
See, the Dominion can't even get along with itself.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Nice
Everybody
tie-in.
says that Storm's an EP spy because he just keeps like attacking my jugular every time he's on stream with
Actually,
me.
that
So.
might be
That-
on brand,
yeah.
too.
that
That
fits too.
checks out.
Yeah, that does check out.
So all of this is sort of along with my IRL chaos and weather being insanely hot and allergies going strong and Pixie and Braun moving houses and things like that is the reason we have been irregular with our shows and haven't recorded, like, sort of been recording bi-weekly, I suppose. We did like one show and then break and then another show and then another break. So, but from now on, hopefully, we are going to be back on track and continue our shenanigans all the way until God knows which episode. I don't even know which episode is this one, to be honest. So, I think it's
I think we
276.
agreed on 76. 76 sounds good.
but it might not be, so we'll see.
It's fine.
So before we get into the show, a quick update on the Patreon. So last month on June, I had paused our Patreon to revamp everything, basically add new benefits and things like that. And that is complete right now. So you can get early access. Now is back. That goes on for Twitch subscribers and all tier Patreons. You will get our episodes, including the upcoming New World Compendium, which is coming back, and Chivalry Podcast, which is going to record its first episode with Lotus here. Yeah. You will get those up to 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours early. You will get extra content as usual, pre-shows, post-shows. Other than that, there will be bonus contents, lore videos, and things like that. I have some high-ish production, sort of like a ESO sitcom idea that I will see if I can manage to edit it together. But if I can, it might be a nice one. We'll see. So that will be exclusive, or at least like a month early access. And I am adding physical rewards. So I figured out how to send stuff overseas without costing like several $100. And I am adding physical stuff like stickers and things. So they're in production now, so I can't show any of them. I haven't received them yet. So yeah, basically do check out patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork. And that was my Patreon plug. Which brings us to the show. And I want to start with why talking about this week's news is difficult. And that's because the forums of Elder Scrolls Online is broken. I can't view them on Chrome. I can't view them on Firefox. The only place I can view the forums is my mobile phone, which is annoying. I had to read everything on this, basically. It's still open here. The camera doesn't pick it up, but I don't have it in the show notes. So basically, I will scroll through my phone. We don't know what happened. And the updates they've been giving about this issue, that they are working on it and whatever may be causing it, they are doing so on the forums as well, which we cannot view.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. And actually, during ESO Live, Gina realized that. She was like, we are updating that forums are
Wait a
broken
second.
on the forums.
Updating
Yeah.
on the broken thing. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a thing.
Mobile first web development for the win.
There you go. Yeah. I mean,
strap on your
see,
bootstraps.
mobile industry is making everything worse. We can't even access forums now. But yeah, so basically, if you are unable to see Elder Scrolls Online forums, that's because it's completely broken and you don't have any issues. There is a workaround in the help page on their website that you have to like inspect and then scroll down, find the body, click on the invisible or visible check mark, which if it's that easy, it should be easy to fix as well, but I don't know. Yeah.
I spent 4 seconds thinking that I cared about this and was like, I'll just read the forums when they're fixed.
Yeah, that was my thinking as well. But then I was like, well, the update 31 combat preview, which we are going to be talking about, is on the forums as well.
I'm not going to lie. I was a little surprised they weren't fixed by the time of the show when I heard originally like pieced out of the whole forum thing. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, this is going to be a little more problematic.
So SD in chat says that it has to do with something internal between the Java of the forums and their internal rules of using it. The fact that they're using Java for their forums just makes me cry for their developers.
Oh, I don't know anything about web development. All I know is I avoided Java for like a decade, and I will continue to do so until I am forced to it at like gunpoint.
I learned in Java, so good luck, Cinemax. Have fun.
So in college, I used Java. I have not used Java since college. I'm a JavaScript and Python dev. I will avoid Java until the day I die.
Yeah, even JavaScript. I avoid JavaScript as well. It's Unity uses JavaScript if you want, and some people do it, but it's no, I can't. It
gets a bad reputation, but like once you just embrace the insanity of it, it's fine.
So I guess it's like our
strange
podcast
selling
then.
point, but all right.
Embrace the chaos.
Yeah, once you realize it makes no sense it all makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
Then
The
it all
problem
makes
is it's asynchronous in nature, so sometimes it just does stupid things.
Mm.
And you're like, why the hell is this function even happening right now? I told you to wait, and you didn't wait. Why aren't you listening to me, you little bastard? And it just takes you 8 hours to figure out why the hell the thing is just jumping around at random. And it's
Now, I kind of want to trigger you more about this, but I also don't want to derail into a complete programming show
Sorry.
in the middle of Tales. So yeah,
Next time.
Yeah, we'll slowly jump back on track. And so first news is that in the last ESO Live, which was yesterday, while on the time of recording this, they showed the new dungeon DLC, which is Waking Flame. And Mike Finnegan, the lead encounter designer, basically went through the entire 2 of the dungeons without spoiling the mechanics, but still showing up, the bosses, giving a bit of piece of lore, what the story is going to be about, the aesthetics of the dungeons, the sets, and things like that. Now, I deliberately skipped most of it because I like to do full blind runs when they first came out. So I didn't, even with the developer cheats they had, I didn't want to see the mechanics at all. But that's going to be coming up on PTS sometime next week, if I remember correctly. I didn't have time to confirm the date on this, but basically very soon it's going to be on PTS, and we are going to be talking more in detail about the changes then. Now, with Update 31, they are going to be making some new, not major, but a lot of minor changes to combat, especially how it works in PvP. So apparently what they realized after CP 2.0 is that the time to kill in player versus player environments have gone down by a lot. People are dealing a lot more damage by sacrificing their defense, resulting in apparently everyone dying a lot faster, and they don't want to do this. So they are going to be looking into the battle spirit bonuses and things like that we get in PvP, increasing the damage reduction from 50% to 60%, I guess making some other resource changes after PTS testing, we'll see. But basically they are trying to address the issue of TTK, as they call time to kill, being reduced by a lot. So that's one change. Another change is, sorry, as I said, I'm scrolling through my phone, which is kind of annoying. It's a small screen. Another change is to stealth and invisibility. This, I'm kind of...
Sorry, bronze face.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so how stealth and invisibility works across the board is getting some tweaks and changes. Basically, their aim is to make it more consistent across the board. So they are defining some better rules, or rather they are defining some set rules, so that the way stealth and invisibility works, both as in the damages you deal, how your stealth or invisibility is broken by your abilities and other people's abilities, are getting some more set rules so that it will play more consistently.
Hold on. So all I can hope that this means is not that I'm bitter or anything, because I know Bronze and Nightblade, but not that I'm really, really bitter or anything. But hopefully this means that when I'm in the middle of an execute, you don't go fucking invisible and block all of the damage.
See, but that's the fun of playing a Nightblade, though. You can just go invisible and run away.
So, okay,
Oh my
two
God,
things.
gives me an aneurysm.
Just use Mage Light. Then you can see me.
It is said somewhere here, I can't find the exact quote right now, but from what I read earlier, you won't be able to dodge, if I remember correctly. If I find it while I'm talking about it, I will tell you. You won't be able to dodge that attack just as it was landing you by going invisible.
No.
That's what I remember. On the other hand, your invisibility and stealth, from what I understand, will break more difficultly now. So, for player abilities, the only things that will break stealth or invisibility are direct damage, crowd controls such as stuns or immobilizes, or revealing effects such as Expert Hunter or Revealing Flare. Player damage over time abilities of any type will no longer remove targets from stealth or invisibility, but may still damage them depending on their source of attack. Area of effects based damage over time will damage targets under these effects, but not remove the effects themselves. There we go. There will also now be a short window when entering stealth or invisibility where players' single target attacks made against you will no longer cancel the activation or strip the effect. On the other hand, we have better accounted for reveals or detections in these rule sets of stealth and invisibility, so attacks won't miss as often as before when utilizing them. So it benefits kind of both of you. So Lotus, you will no longer be missing as much when you were just about to execute someone and they went into invisibility. But it says at the same time, your stealth or invisibility will also not be cancelled. So by having a sword getting smacked on your head.
I feel like maybe this is from somebody who likes PvP. I'll state that to start with, because I enjoy PvP in this game. But with how inconsistent literally everything is in this PvP, I feel like this is them just saying a whole bunch of things that no one will notice because it'll just be as inconsistent as it always has been. So, like, my dots, which I riddle people with, never take people out of stealth currently. So the fact that that's changing to not take people out of stealth is something I will never notice because it didn't work originally. So, like, if I was lucky, they'd take damage. At no point did they ever take a knee and not just immediately disappear. So I'm like, well, they're gone. I guess this fight's over with. Like, so that's like that you get the 2-second CC immunity after you break free. I would pay money to see that happen to anybody ever. At no point have I ever talked to anybody who's like, yeah, I totally use things that benefit me when I get that 2-second immunity. The one that doesn't exist. It's like, yes, very good. So
and yet you can still get like fossilized and then immediately taloned afterwards.
And instantly, it's like, oh yeah. So I assume that I will not notice a difference.
So to your point, the top comment right under this on forums is a confused Matt Damon gif. And then the third comment is a confused Nathan Fillion image with the comment, is it a Nightblade nerf or buff? I presume it will be a nerf. I mean, I don't expect things to be reliable all of a sudden. So people are as confused as we are with all of this.
Perfect.
And have similar expectations as to,
wait, what's happening? I guess
it's like, okay, so that sounded both good and bad. And does that just mean nothing is changing?
I don't know how to feel.
I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, they are trying to make it more consistent, but whether if it's going to work or not, I guess we'll see.
And I appreciate that. So, like, I'll definitely give them that. I don't think I'll be able to notice any of this, but I appreciate that the thought is there.
Mm-hmm. So the other stuff they are doing are backhand improvements, which are basically increasing the performance and general optimization as to how skills are calculated. Especially apparently on Fighters Guild skills and prismatic enchants and stuff like that. Which so far, up until this point, as it turns out, they've been constantly checking themselves, like, against everything, whether if the enemy is undead, werewolf, vampire, undead, werewolf, vampire, and they've been doing this for basically every single thing all the time, which, is really not a good way of doing things. It's not performance friendly. So they are changing those. to a better way, basically refactoring how those works. They are also changing some of the effects. Prismatic weapons, for example. Actually, hold on. We have decided to retain the Slayer of Evil theme of Fighters Guild, but only have it active against players to improve performance while still getting the feel-good identity they have. So I guess in PvE, the Slayer of Evil theme of Fighters Guild, aka the Undead Werewolf Vampire bonuses that you get from Fighters Guild, will no longer be active, is what I understand from this wording, but it will still be active in PvP, because I feel like if they removed that, people would have been really upset, because werewolves are already quite powerful.
Werewolves are already broken. They don't need more help.
Yeah, werewolves leave them alone in PvE. That's fine. That's my crutch. But
PvP,
PvP, they are
real fucking
relatively infuriating coming from somebody who is a werewolf. Because if it devolves into the group of us, like there's too many werewolves on the map, like in a battleground, we got to go werewolf. So then we go werewolf. The match stops essentially because it's just everybody like rah 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 rah, and nobody dies anymore because everybody's just invincible. It's just like okie dokie. Well, hope everybody wants to hit time limit because that's where we're going with this.
We were just talking before the show about how much I love werewolves, like outside of ESO too. So this just makes me want to like make my Nightblade a werewolf. And then I can do the Nightblade stealthy thing and the werewolf thing in PvP. And that just sounds like a really good time.
Well, there you go. I mean, you don't really stealth as a werewolf, I guess. You just howl and nothing can kill you and everything around you just dies.
But when I'm not in werewolf form, though. When I'm not in werewolf form, I can be annoying in a different way.
Yeah, you stealth up till you can flip into werewolf, and then you're werewolf.
The werewolves I've ran into in Battlegrounds, I don't think I've ever seen them not in werewolf form. Somehow they keep that thing up for like 7 hours. It's
yes. As long as you crank up the passive of taking damage extends the duration. Just stand in dots. You're basically invincible anyways, and every dot ticks up your timer.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it depends on the map. On some of the larger ones, it's harder to do, but on most of them, you can just be a werewolf the entire time.
Oh, goodness. That makes sense. I mean, I've been a werewolf for 7 years in ESO, never once used it.
Oh, really?
I'm a werewolf for roleplay reasons, that's it. I never once actually used it in PvE or PvP, but my character's maxed out on werewolf. Like, I'm ranked 10.
And PvE,
Yeah. And it's the only reason you'll ever see me in a werewolf in PvP is because I'm like, all right, so this is cool. We're just going to do this because nobody wants to play the game anymore. That's fine. Let's just all werewolf up. That's how we'll do things.
So yeah, Slayer of Evil still will be like that theme, those bonuses still be active in PvP, but they are, I guess, it doesn't say they are removing them from PvE, but it sounds like they are to increase performance. Prismatic weapons will also no longer hit like the undead or whatever extra. Instead, they will act like the tri-resource prismatic enchants. And you know how there's drain life or magicka enchantments on weapons? Prismatic weapon enchantments will just now drain like all 3 resources, basically. Instead of just magicka, stamina, or health, it will drain all 3 resources. Depending on the value, that could be nice.
That totally makes sense. But I don't like my DPS in my trial doing less damage against undead.
Hopefully they adjust
do people actually
I know
use it?
particularly in VMAL on Rakat, everyone's with prismatic glyphs.
And
Rock Grove, once you go through the
second
portal,
boss in Rock
all
Grove.
Prismatic. Yep.
Everybody's always like prismatic, and everybody switches, and then it's
hopefully they adjust it. But I like not having to have 2 sets of weapons, one with prismatics and one without.
That's very valid. Like,
from
that's
now on,
annoying.
It's not going to deal extra damage to undead, so...
Right, and that definitely makes more sense from a logic standpoint, where it's just like, okay, normally you use prismatics because you want the tri stat, the tri bonus. It's like, okay, well now this tri returns. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Like that's in line with what it should do. I never quite understood why it was just like, oh yeah, it really messes up undead. It's like, okay, sure, that's fine, but why? Like, why does it do that exactly?
So another thing they're adding, now those were minor changes, apparently. And there are some sort of major changes. They are adding 3 sub-constellations to fitness, which I'm really happy about, because I have points but nowhere to put them, because since I only can have 4 things active at a time. They will be called... So 3 new sub-constellations to fitness tree filled with all new slotted stars. So this doesn't really change anything for me then. Their names are Wind Chaser. Oh my god, people are going to be a lot faster, even more faster, I guess. Survivor's Spite, that I like. And this, Lotus, you and I will like even more, Walking Fortress.
Yay, I like that Walking Fortress.
Ooh.
I like the sound of Survivor's Spite and Walking Fortress, but we'll see how many of them I will use in contrast to like cost reduction of dodge rolling, breaking free, and things like that.
I love the CP 2.0 system. I really do. But, and I know this is contradictory to what they're trying to do, so I understand why they're not doing it. However, from my perspective, I really don't care about more slottables as much as we, like, after nerfing the previous passives, which people have varying degrees of how much they care, it is one of the few changes that I visibly noticed a difference in my character when they cut all of those in half. And it's like, oh, well, it's easier for people to get to them. That's great. I'm really happy for everybody, except I was at the tier that got all of them, and I'm not like max CP. That sucked. Like, I really disliked that, that was cut in half, because it's like, is it the end of the world? No. But it was noticeable that like all of those were cut in half. And I got a whole pile of CP now that it's like, well, you can put them in all of these other things. That's great. I physically can't use any of those because there's only so many things to slot. Like, you get 4. So giving me more options of things that I cannot use is faux choice. And I don't really care about that. Because so many of them are just wildly impractical. Like, it's just, they're too situational, which that's great when you have a situation for them. But when they're that situational, it becomes is the difference great enough for me to care? And most of the time it's not. So I'm just not going to bother, period. So I'm actually just sitting on hundreds of unspent CP, honestly, right now. Like, they have no point, and I don't care enough to slot them in anything, because it's like, I've got my build, I've got my setup, I've got all of my passives. I want to use more. It's fun. I like all this, like, growth, but it doesn't amount to anything. It's growth to nowhere. So I'm like, I know they don't want to just give crazy power creep. That was kind of the point. So I get the reasoning, but it doesn't give the CP meaning either, like, just because that's their direction. So I don't really know what the compromise is without more passives.
Yeah, I guess, like, if this new constellation has better and more expensive slottables, because most of the slottables right now are like 50 points. Right. So maybe this will have, I don't know, 150 points, but it's 15% damage reduction instead of 10% somewhere else. I don't know, maybe.
Which you could be right, but I guess that kind of brings us to the same problem of then that will become the bare minimum to use that one. So what was the difference? Because now you have a new cap that everybody's going to be like, I don't have enough for that. And it's like, well, we're right back to square one where we originally could just get passives. So like,
True.
It's a weird situation to be in because I know they're trying to avoid power creep because it was definitely getting up there and it still definitely is. But call me weird, but I don't care about power creep. I've been here for going on what 7 years here. Whatever. Let me be power creepy. Like you give me a bleed damage in the new trial that's so completely astronomical. Anyways, I'm struggling to like not melt into just a pile of goo. It's like, well, whatever. Give me more passes then. I don't care. Like, I don't know. It's just. I still like the new system a lot, but it seems weird just that they're shifting the problem around rather than fixing it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as a tank, nothing really changes, but how is it for DPS these days?
For DPS, I know having extra CP is nice, especially for the backstabber slottable, which is the best for when you can be behind a boss, but when it's not, biting aura or thaumaturgy, depending on your class, will be better. So it's nice having the little extra to be able to swap them out. But same kind of thing. Once you hit, I mean, shit. If you don't put stuff in like quick recovery and stuff like that in the blue one, you can get away with like 90% of your damage at like 500 CP right now.
Oh.
Yeah, which is nice and also weird at the same time.
So having more CP is just sort of convenience of not moving things around when you have to, like when you want to just switch things over.
Exactly.
So you don't have to completely reset everything and pay the 3K.
What about healing, Pixie?
So healing, I probably should move things around more than I do. I mean, the only thing that I do play... Okay, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just do what people tell me. If people tell me slot these 4 blue things, I do that. I have a lot of bonus CP that I'm still trying to figure out what to do with, and I'm only at like 1100. But I could also be doing it wrong. I need to like look at more guides, but I've been so busy since I've hit CP 1000 that I haven't really had a chance to do much with it. That being said, I really like having bonuses in the green side, which has nothing to do with healing or DPSing, because there's so much that I want on the green side to switch out depending on what I'm doing. That for me, any kind of bonus to CP that I get very excited to dump it into the green stuff. That being said, I wish they would add subclasses to the blue side because I want more healing stuff. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, if they add subclasses as slottables as well, as you guys said, I mean, it's then... I already don't have slots. So what am I gonna put all those new things? So...
I don't remember which fights it was, but there were a couple of situations where I did swap out some of my blues for other slottables, depending on what I was healing. Because there are a few things in the healer branch that, depending on the fight, you could change. So if they added enough unique slottables in those branches, I could see it being very fight dependent. Just like how I'll swap out skills dependent on the fight, I could swap out my CP slottables too. And I think that would be really, really fun and interesting and would change up play styles a lot. So I think that's what they're actually trying to go for, and they just aren't quite there yet to the degree they want to be. So maybe adding these new sub branches will do that some more.
It'd be really cool to see something for a healer in the blue tree that would like extend buffs or something like that, or mess with that at all.
Building Yorvalds or something.
Yeah, because like it'd be really cool to swap something like that in if you're the healer running Roaring Opportunist and Yorvalds versus if you're the healer running SPC and Hollowfang, swapping out different slottables for what kind of build you're going for, or even some extra spell damage for Roaring Opportunist and stuff like that, or extra mag. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I like that idea too. I guess now I know I have the single target, I have the AoE heal one, and then a couple of others that I don't even remember what I grabbed at this point because it was so long ago now. But I do like how you can choose between single target and AoE heals. I tend to have both of them slotted if I remember right. But yeah, adding stuff like making me choose between some of the stuff plus buff up times would be really, really cool. Because I'd want the buff up times, especially for trials, which I've been doing more of a little bit lately. So that would be really awesome if they added more stuff for buffs.
Yeah, the problem is like power creep is such a hard problem to deal with because it's just naturally occurring in every single game. It happens in ESO, it happens in WoW, it happens in even like Magic the Gathering. Like because they want you to play the new stuff, so it's all slightly better whenever it comes out, and then at some point it's just got to get bumped down, and then it comes back up, and then it gets bumped down again. The easiest example is like with WoW recently with at Battle for Azeroth, everyone was level 120, and then once Shadowlands dropped, they cut everyone back down to 60, and then they'll creep back up and then drop it, and then creep back up and drop it. It's just a hard problem.
So, I don't know. That just, it's a weird thing because actually it was brought up, Slaps mentioned, which he's not totally wrong. Because I do agree, where it was power creep raises the barrier to entry. And that is one of the things that they've been very concerned about. That's why they don't want just vertical progression. They want more horizontal. And I understand that. But it will give you, power creep will definitely give you an advantage when things currently being released are being designed around that. The older stuff will not be barrier to entry, which again, you get the side effect of Elder Scrolls Online. You can do pretty much anything whenever the hell you want because it's because of the like naturalized scaling. So that's cool, but on the flip side, what is the one thing when you tell new players when they're getting into dungeons? You can go to the old ones just fine, and then unfortunately you don't suggest DLC dungeons to new players even though they can technically do them. And that was why they originally had the Dungeon Finder start putting in the CP lock because despite it all being technically doable, it's more involved. It's more complicated. It's there. Like, so it's the growth of the game, which never getting stronger is also weird in the game when it's an RPG. It's definitely a strange balance to have. And it's one of the things where it's like actually brought up like you don't want it to become pay to win. And I do not let me preface this by saying I do not think ESO is pay to win. However, if you don't have if your group does not have access to a necromancer, you are straight up doing it wrong. And that is a buyable thing in the game. If your trial does not have a necromancer, you are not doing the trial correctly. You can do it without them, absolutely. But they are freakishly powerful. And they have a lot of things that with amazing group utility, it's not that you can't do it without them, but you're intentionally handicapping yourself in order to do it without them. So that kind of gets to the point where it's like, well, how, mythics and stuff with that. Okay, where do you draw the line of like, well, you need the new stuff in order to do the new stuff is kind of the deal. So it's like, it doesn't really bother me when this new set is really great in old stuff. It's a little more required in something new. Well, a set that just came out is not going to be required for something in a previous patch because you physically could do it before this patch existed.
Right.
So there's that balance there, but at the same time, I get why that can be frustrating to people, but it's definitely, like you said, Bron, it's a weird balance where you don't want people to just power creep their way into being like, oh yeah, cool, I've been here since day one, I'm a demigod, and I just like face punch people through walls. It's like, oh, okay, that's a little ridiculous. But like being stronger than somebody that, 1,000 CP lower than you, it's like, well, yes, it's an RPG. You are objectively not as accomplished as this other character, even if it's just grind played or whatever. So it's like, I don't know, that doesn't bother me too much personally, that there's some power creep as long as it's not just completely off the rails, I guess.
And really, Yaz points out makes an interesting point in chat too, that like, though power creep is a difficult problem to solve, it isn't necessarily a horrible problem to have because it means your game has been successful and around for long enough that you have the problem in the first place.
That's a great point.
Very true. Yeah.
That's a great point. If you never
true.
reach power creep being a problem, we apologize that you're all doing a different job now.
I mean, there are ways to handle power creep. Like, one way is, instead of trying to constantly nerf things or limit people from progressing any further, you do a better job at implementing catch-up mechanics for the new people. So they don't get stuck at that barrier of entry, they just go past it in an easier way. Do you put in some work and they pass the barrier of entry? Now, ESO's problem is sort of with that. I mean, we do have the whole enlightened thing and the experience scroll and everything like that. But one of the big problems is, first of all, there's massive content in the game. So learning it does take a while. All the dungeons, it's like dozens of dungeons, dozens of trials, all with different unique mechanics. And getting the gear you need in ESO is a nightmare because of the RNG system. You can never get... Like, you could run a dungeon 100 times and not get the gear you need. So, a new player joining the game, needing the, I don't know, Maelstrom, Perfected, Inferno, whatever staff, it's gonna be a nightmare. Because, first of all, they're already not powerful enough to just blow through that arena anyway.
Good luck.
And then they have to, like, suffer through it with whatever gear they have, and then also get the good RNG. And the gear they need to go through Milestorm Arena easier is also based on RNG. So I feel like ESO's problem never really was the power creep and how like end game content was super difficult and people wasn't doing it. I think it was with the reward structure of it, and it still is. Like, some of the reasons why people are, like, not as many people are doing DLC veteran content could be that they just don't have the gear because it doesn't drop, or they don't have the means to have friends run it with them, like, 20 times with 4 people until they get one staff so they could have it. You know, it's...
Right.
So I will say, as somebody who played ESO first and then Final Fantasy second, so... Now, I might just be horrifically butchering this explanation because maybe I just didn't understand it whenever I was in there. But whenever I was running a dungeon in Final Fantasy, there would be a drop from a chest and only one person would get that drop. But you would all like need, greed, or pass on it. So it was like some kind of dice roll thing to determine who actually got the loot.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's how it works in a lot of MMOs. It's how it used to work in WoW. They've changed it now, but that's how it used to work in WoW too.
So even though ESO's RNG system could be frustrating, the fact that only one person could get each piece of gear from a dungeon in Final Fantasy, it seemed like it would... I dislike that system more than the RNG system, actually.
Yeah.
But does the whatever thing that drops 100% chance, or is it chance-based? Because I think in World of Warcraft, you know that a specific item is going to drop from a specific boss. It's just that you don't know who's going to get it, or that, like, you, if I remember correctly, you do some sort of, like, dibs on it.
Yeah, and you can re-roll on a lot of the old bosses, too, for different gear. So, WoW, like... The loot tables feel a little bit more forgiving, at least in modern WoW. So I don't remember what it was like back when I played like Wrath of the Lich King and shit. It was probably much worse, but it's not as bad now. It's not like quite like 100% drops or anything, but you can get multiple chances with just one kill if you reroll.
And I honestly don't remember for Final Fantasy because it's been so long since I've played it. I was going to reinstall it at some point, but I might try WoW first. I'm still going to be playing ESO, but everybody keeps telling me about WoW things, and I just kind of want to try it.
Yeah.
Just to see how different it is.
The other day we tried again Ark's Corinium because people both need the Undaunted
Medusa.
Infiltrator Lightning and Medusa Fire Staff apparently.
Yep.
And so we tried to get the Lightning Staff for Ophelia. We ran it 4 people, so 4 people getting drops, unlocking every chest we see. I think we did like 6-7 runs. Killed every single thing. Nope. We got everything else. We got the Inferno staffs. We got everything else. Dozens of items, not Lightning Staff. I once ran Fang Lair with people and with pugs by telling them that I wanted it 50 something times until I got a Shield of Ulfnor's Favor. I ran Crimson Castle Torn for a few dozen times until I got one specific Crimson Twilight set piece. So, yeah, in ESO people are, everyone's getting loot, but it just doesn't drop. It doesn't matter if it doesn't drop.
I do know with cosmetics, because I remember my friend Avi, who used to play Final Fantasy all the time, she had to run stuff for cosmetics over and over and over and over again, especially mounts. I don't know if it's like guaranteed drop with gear or what. I would need to
I don't know. I don't remember other MMOs too much because I played ESO for 7 years and nothing else much. So
yeah, I have like no gauge for other MMOs because I don't really play other MMOs. But to your point as well, and it ended up not mattering in the end. Everybody thought it was going to matter, and it didn't because when they did the overhaul and the adjustments, penetration went down on DPS, and then as a result, it seemed like what do you call it? The resource management went through the roof. Like nobody worries about resources. They just spam the crap out of whatever skills they can as fast as possible. But originally, in that brief period where people were trying to figure out exactly what tanks should wear, because tanks in trials basically just get the, hey, yeah, we don't really care about you. You need to just do this. Like, this is your most useful utility, because other than positioning and not being dead, we're the buff team. Like, that's what we do. We buff the DPS so they do more DPS. And for a brief stint, when people were bumbling around trying to figure out exactly what do we use, what do we want the other tank to wear, and like Eben's contested because like how much does 1,000 hit points really matter, since things would most likely kill you by way more than that. Like it's very split on whether people like Eben or totally don't. But Worm, instead of being on the Raiments of the Worm Cult, a lot of groups were shifting it off a healer onto a tank, because it was like, well, Alkosh is not really a thing unless you have a Stam team, and nobody likes Stam because they just port Stam. Nobody likes Stam outside PvP. I'm so sorry. But
Ron does actually. He just came back. You didn't hear that.
So it's so funny.
Stam Blade.
There's a bunch of people who I know that love their Stam classes, and I know they're great in PvP, but it's like basically a mag character will always be chosen over a Stam character for grouping in PvE.
Makes sense.
It's even tougher if you have a mixed match group, because then you can't prioritize stuff. But whatever. I've run plenty with Stam groups, and it's why I love Tremor Scale, the monster set, so much, because it's so great.
I love Tremor Scale.
So good.
Whenever I get someone like we ran Rock Grove recently, and one of our tanks said, "Hey, could anyone use Tremor Scale?" And me and Mission from the Brothers of Tamriel both like, yes, please, yes. Oh, Tremor Scale, thank you.
I love Tremor Scale.
I've tried getting Tremor Scale shoulders for with a lot of keys.
It's your Zons.
I've been waiting for the golden vendor. I have the AP, I have the gold. I just don't have the undaunted keys. I have like 7 dozen pirate skeleton shoulders instead.
Well, so that's exactly the problem. So to that point, when I was running, I was a fill-in. That they just asked me. They're like, oh, we need 2 subs in one of my guilds. They were like, it was for their main team. And they were just like, oh, we need 2 subs. Would you be able to sub as Portal Tank 2 for VCR 3? And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. What do you want me in? They were like, oh, we'd like you in Yolocrin and Worm. I was like, try again. Yolocrin and what? Because I'm not going to lie, I can't do Worm. They're like, what do you mean you can't do Worm? I was like, so I can't get a one-handed weapon to drop. And they're like, oh, we can just run that with you sometime. I was like, no, you don't get it. I can't get one. No one I run with can get one. So my little tally sheet, because this is the most recent struggle I have, is I have 38 clears since I've been keeping track. And not the ridiculous part of this is there is not, I don't need one weapon. It's not, oh, I need a sword. I need specifically a dagger. I need specifically. There are a lot of one-handed weapons. And in 38 runs, me and 3 other people, no one has gotten a one-handed weapon. That is insanity. Like, there is no thing on the planet that should allow that. So I don't run that set because I'm like, no, I don't have like a weird, funky setup for this. So it's just like, I mean, luckily now I don't care because nobody needs Worm anymore because, again, resources aren't a problem. So everybody's just like, who needs sustain? Just nuke everything forever. We're great.
Well, who needs sustain now for Mag with besides Mania? In fact, you don't want sustain.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Please don't give me any. I would like damage.
Right, exactly. So, like, it worked out for me in the end. But to everybody's point, I didn't solve the problem. I outlasted the problem.
Yeah.
But like that was all I did. The meta changed. I didn't match the meta. Like,
really quick update to I couldn't remember how Final Fantasy drops work. Pi Gaming in chat says it's been years since they played Final Fantasy 14, but when they played that the drops were not only could only one person get the thing and they had to need greater pass on it, but they were also RNG. So it could be worse.
But again, it depends on the drop.
Like, wow, everyone needs.
Yeah, everyone needs all the time.
Yeah.
Plus, it's sucking in other games doesn't mean it should suck in my game.
Also valid. Fair. Just because I see somebody else not having a good system, I'm like, well, this person shouldn't have a good system either. Take that. It's like, I don't need to bring it down with me.
Hearing in WoW is awful. It takes forever.
Yeah. But for
Zox,
I know
on top here.
Yeah. Adam, Child of Cities, he ran Maelstrom Arena, I think like 100 times.
Oh my, yeah.
To get
276 for mine.
200
for my first one.
That's
276, and that was before it was available on normal.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
A couple years after I got it, it's not the best one anymore.
Right. I mean, luckily the extra penetration, they weren't kidding when they said it's not going to matter because in a trial group, objectively it does not matter. You're over pen cap.
There are a couple that give you like the not the Black Rose Prison Daggers. It might be the Master's Bow.
I think it's the Master's.
There are a few that give you like extra crit. So if you're front barring it, you want the perfected one. But for most of them, it's like extra stam recovery or mag recovery.
Exactly.
And where it doesn't really matter.
And you know, friend of the show Inklings, I remember back before transmuting was a thing and all of that. And he had the bounty that he did on stream where he's like, every successful VMA that I run without getting a fire staff on stream, I'm adding 100,000 gold to the giveaway that I do for the one day that I hit this. And I think it was 502 that he got it on. And I'm like, that's the most ridiculous. God. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah, I remember it was just, he had it down to like, he was borderline doing it in like a half an hour. I'm like, what is happening? Like, he can't be any better at this. Just give him the item.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you know, like, please change the loot table just a little bit.
Yeah, whatever it was crazy. But I remember being in his streams and he's just melting it so fast. Yeah. And it's just like, didn't get it again. I'll add another $100,000 or 100,000 gold to the giveaway that I'm going to do when I ever get this. And I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, don't understand.
If one of the top players in the game, who's crazy experienced in everything he does, can't get a loot drop, like can't get a weapon drop in 500 tries, what's a new player going to do?
Yeah.
Of course,
Cry themselves to sleep.
Of course, there is a barrier of entry then, because we can't get what we want after dozens and hundreds of tries, with full groups and friends helping us and resources at our disposal. So of course there's a barrier of entry to new players because they can't catch up. So
which this is also very weird because this is just from the other side of the thing where I had like a conversation where I was like, I need to step out of this conversation because I was like, I don't know how to make you understand this is the most ridiculous. One of my guilds, somebody was like, hey, I just cleared VMA for the first time. And we're all like, oh, congrats. And they did it on, I don't know, whatever mag character they did it on. Their first pull was a Perfected Inferno staff.
There you go.
And several people were like, you kidding? They're like, yeah, so should I use this? And they're like, yes, you should use that. That's amazing or whatever. And then later on, a couple people were like, I still don't have that. And he's like, I don't understand why. What's the big deal? And people were talking about how many runs of it. He's like, why don't you just isn't there a way to fix it? They're like, no, you don't understand how lucky you are. You don't get it. Which is even funnier because since they were new, they don't even realize that was amazing and they should be super psyched because they didn't have any struggle because RNG is stupid.
Yeah.
That happened on, if you know the streamer Shroud, he played ESO.
I heard about this.
This was a couple years ago now, but yeah, he ran VMA. He knew what he needed. He got in there, did it once, got the fire stick, and he was like, "Oh, cool, that's the one I need." And then just like got it, went about on his day like, "You son of a bitch."
It is.
I know Ophelia got before Perfected was a thing, Fire Staff in her third clear. And then when Perfected came about, she got it on the fourth try or something. She was like, back to back.
Wow.
People were mad.
Is insane.
That's what I mean. It's like, and personally, just like, it's, when something is like random, I feel like from the perspective of the person that gets it, that's super exciting. I mean, maybe it's because I really, for anybody who might have ever missed how much I loathe RNG, I loathe RNG just as a concept. But like, I feel like when people say stories like that and they don't even realize how amazing it is that they don't have to grind for, in some cases, actual years to get the thing they're looking for, I feel like it breeds like a toxic environment as well because people get really bitter that it's like, okay, I physically can't do this. Like I can do this faster than you. I can do this better than you. And you get the gift and I get nothing. And it's like, that is not a stellar system in my opinion.
I don't understand the reasoning behind. Like I legit from a game design and monetization because there's nothing to monetize with this either. So I don't understand the game design reasoning behind not implementing a system where after like, I don't know, 50th time you did something, you could get whatever you actually need.
You'd think it'd be like with WoW, they have a currency system for their PvP gear based on like matches you win, you get more of whatever currency it is, and then there's just a little vendor that you can go to and buy the gear that you need. Or something like that, or like with newer versions of Tetris, every time you don't get like a line piece or whatever, every pull you get, the percentage increase goes up for a line piece. Something like that would be really nice.
Yeah, that would have saved me from 7 months of playing Battlegrounds just to get that stupid shield.
Oh,
I got everything else.
I got my first battleground.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, that shield. That shield you got on your first Battleground that I did Battlegrounds for 7 months. I bought probably like 5 different shield styles and whatnot in the time I was farming for that specific shield, it just didn't drop. It's and Slap says time is monetized. Yeah, but you gotta form a balance between forcing a player to play a specific content for 500 times to get a staff. That's not... If
There's
someone is
breaking
suffering through your content 500 times to get a drop, they will play your game regardless of whether if they get that in 50 tries or 500 tries. That's
Which I
something
guess-
people
Yeah.
will quit your game for, not play more of your game. I mean...
Well, and that's one of the things that I always do try to realize that I actually am well aware that in a lot of these situations I play things differently than other people, because I'm just like, I need to complete all of the things. And like, when you look at some of these dungeon achievements, you're playing them over and over and over and over again. In most cases, when I clear the thing, if I don't have all the sets from there, I don't care. I just won't run it anymore. I'm just like, no, I'm just going to use a different set. Like, I very rarely go back. There are sometimes, and honestly, if enough time passes, sometimes I just get in the mood to do them because they're fun. But it's like, I need an objective-based thing. Loot tends not to be a good incentive for me personally. Not that I don't farm for loot, but just with the way I play things, I don't know. I feel like I might not be the best gauge for that, because I don't feel like a lot of people do stuff the way I do, because I'm much more focused on like, okay, what can I do? Okay, if I can't get this drop, rather than get invested in trying to get this drop, usually I'm like, meh, we're done here. And I try to move on. Unless it's like, okay, this is so imperative, I cannot ignore it type of thing. Then I kind of get my arm twisted to the point where I can't avoid it. But like, I will never farm gear for the sake of trying to scoop stuff up if I can avoid it. And a lot of times I would rather just use a build. It's why I like 4-player content better, because getting 3 other people to try something that's not quote unquote meta is a lot easier than getting 11 other people to not get really hung up on that, because I do want to help group utility. But yeah, one of the things that I will say that is great for not having add-ons is sometimes if people are very, very picky on what you wear, you can just say you're doing what they say, but since they have no add-on to check, I'll do what I want. And when we clear, then you can tell me how wrong I was because it worked. But not that I would ever do that to anybody from any of my raid teams that's listening.
So to be honest, like I play mostly the same way you do. I'm only just now getting to the point where I'm kind of getting a little bit more farmy, just because I am getting into content where people want me to run certain things that I just don't have. But for the longest time, I played exactly like you did, where I only run stuff if I feel like running it. And if I don't have the gear from there, I just don't have the gear from there. And that's the reason why for a very long time now, I've been running SPC, Hollow, and Symphony, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's like, I want to be as useful as I can to my group. So I definitely have that. But sometimes, and it's not everybody, I don't mean it to sound like that. And it's not that I wouldn't want to like maximize the use of our team. But many people focus on leaderboard trifecta push strats when they haven't even cleared the thing to start with.
Right.
You jump in the gun just because somebody more advanced than you told you how to do it, which is a big disconnect I find with a lot of people. It's just like, well, I saw this. It's like, yeah, but if that's not working, like originally the biggest thing was a lack of understanding to Alkosh uptime, where people are like, you have to run Alkosh. I'm like, if you don't have a good Alkosh uptime, use anything else, because you're not helping. You don't realize that you're not actually helping because you don't have any uptime, so nothing is getting debuffed. Yeah. And like that comes from analyzing what your group is doing or what you're doing. Like it's hard to keep an Alkosh uptime a lot of times. Like that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So sometimes people listen a little too much to the way that a team has done something effectively one of the things I love about ESO, there's not one way to do stuff. There's a lot of ways to do stuff. And unless you're fighting to be the number one person on the leaderboard currently, there's a lot more flexibility than people realize, as long as you're hitting the ideas. Okay, do we have major sorcery? Is there major breach? Is there minor breach? Blah, blah, blah. Just random major and minor buffs. If you're covering those things, people underestimate that just doing a crap ton of damage is not more efficient most of the time than knowing how to not all die to a mechanic.
Well, sometimes with certain mechanics, you got to slow roll the boss because of your damage anyway.
Especially in Rockgrove, which is something that's very
Especially
awkward.
in
It's like,
Rockgrove.
please stop sharing curses. Please stop sharing curses.
Please stop.
Please don't give me multiple minis
Another
at the same
5%.
time. Like
Another 5%. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah,
Stop
exactly.
touching the boss.
Yeah, and that's a thing that you'll kind of get into where, you know, this is getting kind of like deep meta conversation, which isn't really what I meant, but like, yeah, that can be a thing. So it's just like, I don't know. I there's a reason things are done by the books, but at the same time, you need to be a little flexible too, especially when you need to understand that not everybody has Alcast timing or Nephis timing. Like, so it's not always a universal thing. And if you can't
Not
clear
everyone has the
something,
skinny cheeks damage.
right? And it's like that's just it. It's like if you need a little give to make something work for your team, don't be afraid to use it. Just that's where I feel good leads really shine, is when they recognize that and can portray that. It's like, well, okay, if you're going to do this, we'll have somebody else do this, so we're still getting said buff or whatever, but maybe now both of them are more effective, just because both of you are able to now do it efficiently rather than one person failing at getting something up constantly. And it's like, well, yeah, just because it's there doesn't mean it's actually active. So, you know, it's a delicate balance when you're progressing through very difficult stuff.
I mean, you are right from our perspective, where we are very comfortable in our groups and with our builds and the resources we have. But I feel like I'm not a new player, so I can't say for sure, but to me, it feels like there's also the possibility of a new player just either, you know, checking those builds because they want to get better, right? They get into the game,
Absolutely.
they check Alcast, they check Nefas, they check, and they will see those builds. And they will look up to those builds as in, okay, well, that's my goal. That's where my goal lies. And then they start farming, right?
Sure.
And then the farming can turn into an absolute garbage nightmare because of the RNG system. Now, you say...
That's totally a thing.
Yeah. Now, you say you don't care, you move on if a set doesn't drop and you make some other stuff work. But not...
Whenever possible.
Yeah, avoiding
there have
meta.
been a couple situations where I'm like, I just want this so bad. Why can't I get it?
There's stuff that comes into like Thracian Stranglers when it was a thing, and the Kilt now, where it's like, well, if you want to do good deeps, better go get this thing.
Right.
So, like, there is that. I feel like there's that pressure on a new player as well to need to get that gear to feel relevant, to feel like they are competitive, or in PvP's case, actually be competitive. Otherwise, they will get melted.
For sure.
Or they will get like gatekeeped because they don't like not everyone has access to the same type of player-based community.
That is 100% a thing.
Not everyone has access to the time to put into stuff like that.
Correct.
So
and gatekeeping is definitely a thing at endgame to an extent, yes. And then when you get into really endgame, where it's like you're some of the people doing the hard mode trials and stuff like that, it's like you kind of all seem to get to know each other pretty quick because there's not many of you in that pool of players, and it gets like real clicky real quick.
Yeah, it definitely does. Oh God. Yeah.
So there is all that a new player has to go through and get the gear that may or may not ever drop. Like, it's possible you could, like, not probable, but very possible that you will never ever get a specific drop because there is no 100% chance at any point.
Right, it could happen.
It could, technically, you might never ever in your life, after thousands of Maelstrom runs, unless they sneaked in a specific type of code in there, which doesn't look like it since, you know, Inklings ran it 502 times, as you just said. It's how they can't catch up, and there's a much bigger pressure. Plus, since there has been a meta discussion in chat as well, going off meta requires a much more understanding of the game, in my opinion, than just playing the meta. Because when you do play the meta, you look up the build. Like, Allcast has a full article, you look at it, you get the builds, you get the gear, if you can get the gear, before you pull your hair out. You know your rotation, you know your skill, you know everything. You just follow the article to the step. Now, if you want to go off meta, you need to have experience and understanding in the game. So going off meta is 100%. More difficult than following a meta build article.
It is,
very true.
And also, kind of to your point, one of the things is the difference between copying the meta and understanding the meta. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, even when you copy the meta, it shows between people who understand why they're doing something and somebody who's doing it because they were told to do it. Like, both people in that situation would be essentially running the same thing, but at the same time, them being aware of it will change stuff. And like the best example I can always give is like Alkosh uptime, where it's like, most people, it's just like they're trying to juggle other, you know, a bunch of other things or whatever. Or I'm not saying my name because they were learning, and I'm happy that they now know. I don't mean this as a slight if they listen to the podcast. So, you know, they've improved as a tank literally because of this. Somebody I grouped with, it was a random group. I was lending a hand to them. I was in their group. I was the fill-in tank for their setup, and I asked what they were running, and they were like, "Oh well, I'll do." They were doing Eben and Alkosh. I'm sorry, Eben and Powerful Assault. Okay, here we go.
Your cameras froze, but we were.
Yeah, that was super weird.
We were still hearing you.
Yeah, that was weird. Huh. Interesting.
We stopped being hear you for a minute. Sorry about that.
So anyways, me filling in for tank, they were running Eben and Powerful Assault. So I was like, okay, I'll run whatever you guys want me to run in this situation, blah, 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 blah. And I noticed while we were doing it, just from looking around at everything, the situation like kind of weird. I was like, what are you using to proc Powerful Assault? And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, what skill are you using to proc Powerful Assault? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have anything in particular that I'm using. I was like, okay, you need to be using Vigor or like, I don't know. You could use Caltrips if you want to. Yeah. They're like, oh, I was like, yeah. So that set only works if you're constantly re-upping some type of assault skill. And they're like, oh, I don't really have a lot of assault skills. And I'm like, you're going to need to unlock those because currently your set is basically doing nothing without doing that. And they didn't get defensive. They're like, oh my God, I didn't realize. And I'm like, that's I mean, no biggie. Like now you know. And they did have Vigor, I think. So they started using it. And the thing with it was just like, that's a perfect example of somebody being told what to wear, but not knowing why they're wearing it. Because it's like, granted, that one was a little like, okay, this is how the set works. But it's like, it happens with more than just that set. But like, okay, that's great. That person now knows how to improve that situation. It was just, whatever. But it's just like, that's where you do want to understand what you're doing rather than just necessarily always do exactly what you're told. Not that you should ignore what you're being told by a raid leader, especially because you'd want raid leaders to kind of understand what they're directing. So they probably have a good idea. But just, when you're doing something, try to understand why you're doing it. It'll probably make it a little easier, because oftentimes you might need to change stuff around to make it more consistent. Keeping my Uncratus Behemoth buff up as off tank in VCR3, I have an entirely it's not a different gear setup. I have a bar setup literally just for VCR3 off tanking, because I need to have different things that I constantly want up, and I don't really give a crap about what's hitting me because nothing hits me all that hard as an off tank. But it's like, I love chains on my back bar. That's just my go-to. I would much rather do that. But I need Uncratus up all the time. I don't have as many things that I need to pay attention to, so I put it on my front bar along with Vigor on my front bar, which I always keep Vigor on my back bar as well. The reason I do that is because I don't ever want to get bar swapped while I'm on my weak bar and unable to get buffs. So I have an ability to proc these things on both bars. I never want to, that's a waste of slots, but I use it for the sake of making sure the group is getting buffed that whole time, because my survivability as off tank, to anybody who has not off tanked VCR3, it's pretty much the easiest job in there. Not that it's easy, nothing in VCR3 is easy. It all sucks, but it's easier. So I have a bar set up so that it's based solely around the mechanic of bar swapping. No other trial has a bar swap mechanic, so I built it for that. And to be fair, I didn't build it. One of the other tanks gave me the suggestion, and I was like, oh, that's really clever. That's real good. I love that. So, that's kind of just the way I was explaining that. It's understanding it definitely matters as much as doing it.
Yeah, it's ESOS has definitely some issues to work through in general, both in community and in
keeps
in
improving
game.
And isn't perfect.
Right.
I mean, sometimes they do counterintuitive improvements. So to go back
That's
on
true.
Very true.
To go back on the changes, it's I mean, how did we get here? We got here from having our
RNG.
progress capped to avoid power creep, whereas the original problem may well be no proper catch-up mechanic in having been implemented. So,
and we blacked out and we got here.
Yeah. And there is one more piece of news or changes coming with the update 31 combat changes, and that's they are reworking some old sets basically. Like Sithis' Touch, Nicholas's Heavy Armor, Pelinel's Aptitude, and I guess we are gonna get more details on this in the PTS patch notes. But yeah, basically they realize some of the older sets are no one's touching them really, and they are reworking them to, I guess, make them a little bit more relevant, which I don't know what's the end game plan here is with this. Every DLC, every chapter, we get 10 new sets. So
yeah, I don't get it.
Trying to keep the older sets relevant is just not gonna work.
Maybe to circle back around to the RNG debate, it's to combat the fact that it's difficult with RNG. So if you can't get the new stuff, maybe you happen to have this old stuff that could be a little bit better now.
Maybe. I mean,
the problem is if they keep doing this with old sets, it's going to get to the point where there's a different set, a different build, a completely different thing for every single boss, every single dungeon, every little thing, and it's going to be real annoying to switch between oh, okay, well this boss I need to do Medusa False God. Okay, so this boss I can do Sororia Kilt Medusa, and then It's going to
Right.
get to the point where it'll get real annoying if
Yeah.
everything's about the same power level and there's not a okay consistent like 4 or 5 sets or whatever to swap between.
They are trying to make everything unique as well, which, you know, you want different sets to be unique, but
Yeah.
at the rate of 10 new sets every 4 months, yeah, I don't know what they are gonna
It's an impossible
do.
task.
So-
everything can't be good.
Right. And
Some stuff's got to be bad.
This makes me realize that I never want to be an MMO dev.
oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Balancing
it's
would be-
nightmare.
Balancing
Both for the
things would be
coders and
awful.
designers. It's
Yep.
because there is never, ever. It's mathematically impossible to achieve true balance
Yeah.
unless you make an absolutely boring game, which is rock paper scissors.
Well,
Like,
then if
you have
everyone's
one
balanced, it's
class.
just rock paper scissors. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it's like,
this one's Nightblade's better than Necro. Necro's better than DK. You know, it's like
And all of the
okay, well, if I
classes are
come up
removed.
against DK, we're good. All right, as long as I don't run into a Necro. It's-
So I've learned that
yeah.
it's mathematically impossible to make everyone happy, apparently.
yeah,
It
true,
is.
pretty much.
That's what I've learned from this conversation.
yeah, they're balancing
100%.
like keeping the end game happy, keeping the casuals and the new players happy. It's so hard to do both.
That is 100% the thing, because I joke all the time with so many people, because what people want, like, there is no way to make everybody happy, because when you have people wanting opposite things at the same time, you have to pick one. You can't both do a thing and not do a thing. So like, it's over. Like, there you are. You have effectively just made half of your community angry by making half of your community happy. So it's just like, you basically just try to hit the biggest demographics and try to include everybody is like in at least some, so that people aren't totally neglected type of deal. So it's like, but it is funny to think about that, where it's just like, yeah, there is literally no way to make everybody pleased right now. It's just not going to happen. Before we move on from the gear stuff, though, I'm still waiting for the day with all the housing mancers constantly wanting more slots in housing.
Yeah.
What happens when we have so many craftable sets, they don't all fit in one house anymore? Like, there's more
You're gonna have- well,
craftable
you're gonna have two
stations
guild
than there
houses.
are slots available.
Oh boy.
Because I feel like that's closing in.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
2 accounts.
Getting close with 3 every 2 accounts,
Or 2, well, not 2 accounts, 2 houses. You're gonna have
Two
like
houses.
2 different houses.
2 large houses, A2, I don't know, M in one house, and then the rest in another
Oh my
house,
God.
basically.
And in 10 years, it's going to be, one person in each guild for each letter.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that will be the guild concept. You invite people to your guild so they may have a letter of crafting in their house.
Because, I don't know. It's just one of the things I thought about recently. Because when I go to like our guild hall and I look at the crafting stations when I'm doing master writs, it's just like, oh my God, it is just a sea of crafting stations. And I'm like, there is a limit to this. It is closing in on us.
I'm actually curious what the number exactly is. Like when you put all the crafting sets in a house, what it reaches at the moment. Rather curious now. I'll check that after the stream.
Yeah.
And that kind of, brings us to the end of the news, and I guess a random discussion topic of reward structures and meta plays in Elder Scrolls Online. Which brings us to the Tales of Tamriel. Now, Lotus, very important question. Do you have Battlespire Tales for us?
No, I was
Aw,
all
man.
mid-year mayhem since the last show. So
Aw,
there is
man.
no Battlespire this week, although I'm probably streaming Battlespire tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, I know what
yeah.
Braun and I are watching tomorrow.
We will be there.
Yeah.
Can you
So-
do it after Ark and I are out of D&D, please?
Almost positively.
Perfect.
Yeah, because
Yep.
NA
It'd be-
time, D&D
yeah.
is very early, so...
Yes, I was gonna say, and it's more of an afternoon thing. I usually it's kind of funny. I usually D&D on with you guys while I'm in the gym. You're like my background noise while I'm working
Makes
out.
sense. So, Bron, since you're our special guest, what have you been up to in the past weeks of Elder Scrolls Online?
Oh boy. Well, mine are going to be very similar to Pixie since we've done a lot
Well,
together.
you can do it like together as well.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Because we're in the same like trials teams now for our two Thursday and Friday groups. So we did VHOF that we were both basically falling asleep for, since that was like the day after our move.
So he says basically, I literally fell asleep mid-pull. I woke up to just randomly hitting the combat prayer button and not knowing where I was or what I was doing. I was very confused whenever I woke up. Didn't know what content I was even in. And then the raid lead's like, can we talk to you guys like later? I'm like, listen, I was asleep.
Go over logs afterwards.
I mean, hey,
Give me some slack.
you are still sleep healing. That's impressive. I mean, just...
I don't know if I was
Mashing
facing
combat prayer.
anybody while I was mashing combat prayer, but
Well, I mean, you can't get everything done.
he was like kind of delirious. I was literally asleep through an entire couple of polls.
Did
There
you
were a
guys
couple
actually
triplets
clear it,
polls where you
or
were- we did end up clearing? Yeah.
I mean,
No, we didn't. We
Wait.
got stuck on those robots.
Oh, no, that
you
was the
must have
week
slept
before.
too. Yeah, the
That
week
was the week
before it.
before.
So we cleared the week before it. That time because we had just moved and we had been up until like 3:00 in the morning the night before, and then we're busy moving more stuff the next day. I just fell asleep. I was out.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like entirely yours or our fault. Like the group had trouble pushing the triplets at the same time and getting them all together to do the stuns. So we just got stuck on the triplets.
And
would've
also
been
had trouble doing it with one healer as well.
that also. And
I mean,
one
with-
less DPS.
with Lore Seekers, we did it full team, and we didn't get past the first boss. So yeah,
Ooh, yikes.
it was rough. Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I think we tried like for an hour or maybe two. And it was the first time for a lot of people, but yeah, we just didn't get past
Oh.
the first
Yeah,
boss.
VHOF is very mechanical intensive.
It's very
Hoff,
mechanical. Yeah.
period.
It was rough.
I'm surprised how many people will get blast-rated in a normal Hoff just from not understanding like
Yeah.
all the things going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arc, to make you feel better, so I have cleared it with the Perfect Rogue group like a week or two ago, but that first boss just makes me want to throw things with the dang
rough.
purge mechanic. I have to purge like every 2 seconds, which I didn't have efficient purge
Poisons.
until like a couple days ago. So I had no magicka the entire time, and I would just die. And
The
it's
first
awful.
boss is the raptors that you
Yep.
have to keep apart,
Yep.
right?
It
I remember.
is.
Yeah, that one.
Uh,
Yeah.
Purge your ass off, boss. Like, please stand here and cast nothing but purge, please.
Yep.
It's horrific to heal. I hate that boss.
Yeah, because if you do the stack and burn and not the one where you do the actual mechanics, you just have everyone slot purge. Just smack it every couple seconds, will you? Unpurge everyone. But yeah, we did that. We did Rock Grove. I think we've done Rock Grove twice since the last time. But
Yeah.
Nice.
for you. But yeah, Rock Grove is fun. It's weird how like some of the bosses in there you like almost don't realize they're bosses until you like look at logs. Like I had no idea the Ash Titan was a boss. Just thought it was an Ash Titan.
Yeah.
Like looked at the logs and was like, oh wait, what? That's a like
Yeah.
boss fight. All right. Like it feels like a hard ad pull, but okay.
Yeah, that's a strange one that I mean, other than having a lot of hit points, that is weird that's classified as a boss fight to me.
That and like the snake, like that very first one off to the side.
Oh, the
that,
secret
like,
snake? Yeah.
secret snake. Yeah.
Oh, there
He's
are
also
secrets
just a
in
little
Rock
parse
Grove?
boss.
Nice.
Wait,
the
there's
snake is a boss?
Yeah.
I know you were talking about the snake earlier, but I just
Yep.
now dawned on me which snake you were talking about.
Yeah, that technically
I thought that
qualifies
was
as the
just an
secret
ad.
boss.
Qualifies as the secret boss. And we did the first time we did it, we did the turtle soup achievement, which was fun.
I gotta do that. I gotta do the turtle soup and the don't anybody step in poison, which will be fun for us.
Yeah. Yeah, the turtle soup one's fun because you just have one tank just hang out with the Hajimoto for 20 minutes and then before you can get it to the right spot to do it.
Yep.
So that was fun. Man, I love Rock Grove. That's a lot of fun.
So good.
I
Yeah,
still haven't
that
done it
final
on the live
boss.
servers.
On the live servers.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Man, yeah, Basai? Was that the 5% one? Every 5% you get an ad?
Yes, that's the jerk.
Yeah. Man, that fight. It's like, please stop touching the boss. Please.
Okay.
It's the
We
new
need to get these
twins.
ads. Yeah.
The one thing
Stop
that's
touching
really
it.
frustrating for me as a healer in Rock Grove is I'm kite healer, so I just chill in the back and I'm just bait for the boss. I can't
Yep.
reach anybody with combat prayer. I can't reach any enemy with Ellie Drain. So my logs look like ass the entire time because I can't reach anybody. Even Orb, since Orb moves so slow, since Orb changes like a bajillion patches back now, I feel like I'm not doing anything useful whenever I'm just chilling in the back. I'm trying, but I can't reach anybody. So I don't know if I need to like move closer and hope for the best. Like I need to have a chat with the raid lead and see what on earth I need to be doing there. Because it drives me nuts that I feel completely useless the entire time.
And you kite healed the boss before too, the big red lizard dude. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. The behemoth.
That's his canon name. Big red lizard.
Big red lizard guy. That
He
guy
looks
over
really
there.
cool.
Yeah, that's canon.
But yeah, Rock Grove. And then oh yeah, all the world bosses from the from the weekly endeavor.
So many world bosses.
Many world bosses. Although
That was like
it was
40,
nice to yeah, it was nice to like knock out dailies at the same time of doing those too. So we did a buttload of
Blackwood.
I almost said Black Grove.
I was about to say black butt because he kept saying butt
Black
load.
butt. But yeah, a lot of black. What's that? Ivory
Brigade. I have so much Ivory
So-
Brigade now, and it makes me so happy.
I keep
It's
trying
like
to sell
9K
them.
a pop still. Yeah.
Yeah,
people
I do
just
sell
buy
them.
Yeah. Man, other than that, let's see. A lot of transmutes for you we've been getting.
Yeah, so I mentioned that, well, Braun mentioned that we're on 2 trials teams now. One of those is a VCR prog, and they want me to be group healer with Roaring Opportunist and Jorvolds. So I have both of those sets, but they're both blue and wrong trait. So I've been working
Oh.
on yeah. We've been working on that starts this coming Thursday, so I really need to get on those transmutes. We've been doing a lot of random normals, which the game really loves anytime we queue for a random, throwing us into the world's longest DLC dungeons with Pug.
How many fucking like we've gotten white gold tower so many times and I'm like, nope, not doing it again. Get me out of here. I'll wait the queue time. Nope, not again.
We really just wanted to play Animal Crossing because we've both been on an Animal Crossing kick the last few days with
Yeah.
all the home improvement stuff we've been doing. It's just like really gotten us into that mood. So whenever you have your Switch sitting right next to your computer and you're just seeing White Gold Tower, Unhallowed Grave, God, what was the other one that we kept getting over and Cradle of Shadows, just over and over and over again. And you're like, oh God, they're not going to know what to do. It's going to take an hour to do a random normal, and then we have to do this like 3 more times on other tunes. It's just like, no. And so then we're like, okay, we'll just swap to another tune to avoid the timer. And then we queue again, White Gold Tower again. It's like, no, please, dear
Gold
God,
Tower.
stop.
Stop it, please. White gold tower. Oh man. And then the only other thing without you that I've been doing was trying to get a handful of Blackwood parses together for a handful of my DPS, but I'm always missing like one stupid piece of gear that I don't want to go grind for. So I just end up you know what? I can do it with last time's build and be like 5k behind. Don't care. This is fine enough. I'll throw the kilt on, throw some master's daggers on, and we'll work it out. We'll be fine. So I got up on my Stam Blade, Mag Blade, and both of those worked out, and then Mag Sork as well. Mag Sork I don't typically play anymore, unless it's just like to get an extra coffer or something. And then actually my Mag Crow as well I might redo, but we'll see. But yeah, the ever growing, like I really want to play Stam, but then I go through a trial on my Stam Blade and I go, oh yeah, this is why I always bring my Mag Blade, because it's real annoying to be on a Stam character unless someone brings Tremor Scale.
Is it having to be at close range? That's the issue with the Stam builds in trials.
A lot of the time, yeah. Like, thankfully now, with where most classes are, I think the only one, the last time I talked to Mission about it, Stam Sork is tough to do it on. But if you're on a Stam Blade or especially a Stamden, there are a lot of really easy bow builds to throw on. So I have a bow build with my Stam Blade that if I have to be, so that's what I went through Rock Grove with last time. So for Basai, because we wanted to stay spread out and had to jump back if I needed a curse, but still wanted to be able to hit the meteors and hit the whatever the ads are called that come out, and keep damage up on those. I just swapped to my bow build with the Master's bow on the front bar, Maelstrom bow on the back bar, and then Keenross and Reliquin, and then. Which is weird because like Mag Blades runs or Stam Blades run so many mag skills now. Sometimes I find myself like running out of mag a couple times. I'm like, wait, what? Please no. Can I get sustain now, please? So it's weird because like. Yeah, because it's weird because like the bow build that I like mishmash together, I still need minor force because I have Zovgans, but I for whatever reason like I just don't like Zovgans very much. Because I have all the other stuff anyway, so I just throw channeled acceleration on my back bar. Like, hey, there's minor force as long as I have enough mag to cast it, I'll be good. And it's been working so. But other than that, that's pretty much it for me.
And then as far as stuff that's different from his tales to mine, which there's not a whole lot since we've been playing mostly together. So I have been converted to the cult of the gamepad. Ended up picking up the Razor Tartarus. So it feels really great, since I originally came from console gaming anyway, to finally be back using a joystick. At the same time, I have realized I keep forgetting where all of my hotkeys are on my gamepad.
Yep.
So I'm just like pressing random buttons, trying to remember where the hell I put the F key on my gamepad whenever I'm trying to res somebody. So I'm jumping up and down, I'm crouching, and it looks like I'm teabagging the team member that fell.
Nice.
And I don't know what I'm doing. And so that was another complicating factor where I was falling asleep in VHOF because I couldn't remember how I was supposed to swap weapons. And I would be trying to...
You are trying to survive for your life. Your healer is combat praying an empty corner. You die. And that said healer comes to you and starts teabagging you. It's like, what have I done
giving
to
you CPR. Get up.
Why would you
My
do
favorite
this?
was we were in Rock Grove yesterday and I was trying to use I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called like Resistant Flesh. Yeah, it's Resistant Flesh, but Necro Breath of Life, basically. I was trying to spam that on somebody who was about to die and I just kept casting Ellie Train. It's like, this isn't helping. Why are you still dying? You're like, oh shit, wrong bar.
I need medical attention. Stop debuffing.
But hey, you got a minor Magicka steal, and you're also dead.
Yeah.
My Ellie Drain uptime must be fantastic on whatever fight that was. And so I'm still like working out the kinks with the gamepad, but like on my wrist, it has felt so much better. So my right wrist that's on my mouse hand. So I have the Razor Naga. I would cast all of my abilities, look and light attack, heavy attack, block, do all of that on my right hand. And I would notice at times if I was playing a whole lot that I'd have trouble like holding things the next day. My fingers wouldn't quite want to work. But the gamepad, now that I've kind of evenly distributed the work between two hands, and it's very ergonomic with the wrist pad and the way it holds my hand and is tilted, and I'm using a joystick instead of the WASD to move, my wrists feel a whole lot better. So
That's pretty sweet.
yeah, so overall it's going to be better once I get used to it, but it's kind of painful for my groups that I've been running with right now just while I'm getting used to it. I have also noticed that it's easier to light attack weave because I'm not trying to like press 1 on my mouse right here while clicking this and try to do this thing the whole time. I'm hitting a button on my left hand and then clicking my mouse, and it just feels more natural that way. And it's been really, really nice. And I've noticed a huge bonus to my sustain doing that. So overall, once I get used to using the thing, it's going to be awesome. And then the other thing, and this is kind of shared with Ark, was I was able to join Ophelia's group for D&D again. And that was super fun. My character, Liliana, was able to apparently get into an encounter with a vampire, which is where we left off the last session. So
We are so gonna die
be,
tomorrow.
I'm gonna die so fast.
You have
I've
seen
never
the group
played
rolls.
a wizard.
No one rolls
Okay, look,
over 10.
my rolls were high though. So if it's anything like D&D with the natural ones, if I can get anything like what I tend to get with my shillelagh, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna just carry the whole group, and it's gonna be a good time. I just jinxed the entire thing. I'm gonna roll ones the whole time now, but I'm really excited for it. But I'm really looking forward to that. If my character dies, then that's an easy way for Ophelia to boot me out of the group. But it's been so fun playing with you guys, and it's just been a really great time, and I'm so happy that I got invited to join.
I'm still
as a
not
guest.
over the trickery. It's
Do you
audio
So
recording. Miss
Audio
audio recording here.
I can't tell you how hard it was to keep that a secret for that long. He can tell you how many times I was like, I just can't wait to see what Ark in particular, because like everybody else like had met me at some point, but like you're obviously the one who knows me the most there. Like I just want to see his just brain blow up whenever he sees me, not only there, but also of course I'm playing a high elf. I feel like I was just put there to troll you
obvious.
in particular.
That was obvious, but it's still like when you joined the call,
The biggest given.
it's like the immediate thought I had is that I mistakenly somehow copy pasted our Zoom D&D games like Zoom call link into our group chat on Discord, and you just clicked on it randomly, and then it just like dropped you into the call. I was like, what?
Oh,
that
what's
was
this
the first
Zoom
thing.
call?
Yeah.
Am I
Better just
interrupting
join.
something?
It was seriously amazing, though. I want to say Ophelia reached out to me like back in, November or December. And because I think it was before, so I've moved twice since December. So I want to say it was before my first move that she reached out, and I was like, yeah, after this move, I'll have lots of time to be able to set something up with you. And then you guys apparently just like took a wide left turn around the story she had planned for you. And she's like, it's okay, take your time, because it's like herding cats with this group.
Yeah, we once spent an entire session trolling the innkeeper in Ebonheart, like the tavern in Ebonheart, right north or after the Way Shrine. The entire session we just spent there and trolled the innkeeper for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, she told me about that one.
Yeah. So yeah, we are slow
I have
progressing.
It's really fun playing with you guys.
One
though,
session
and
I ended up drinking skooma, thought I was turning into an Argonian.
Well, I'm new to D&D in general, and so being able to play with you guys has been really awesome, and then getting to play with the natural ones has been really fun. We did have an episode of the Natural Ones, which if you guys missed it, we are also going into Tamriel.
Oh.
So
wait, doing like a crossover thing.
Yes. So what's happening is basically Solus went out of book, and we had all been kind of talking in chats, and like since Jibs and Cash are back in the game, Champ has started playing ESO again. Ash used to play ESO but doesn't so much anymore. Obviously Braun and I play ESO. By popular demand, Solus decided to write it into the story that this magical thing that's been going on in the Forgotten Realms, turns out the source of the problem is an Oblivion Gate. And so we're going to use the Deadlands to get us into Tamriel. So, Braun's character died last time, but I have seen... I've seen the story for his new character, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not going to be... Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's going to be really fun. I can't wait for... so Solus has had some real life things come up with work, so it's going to be a little bit before we can play again. But I'm really excited because the thing for me with D&D was I'm not super familiar with that world's lore. I was kind of like learning as I was going along, and so it was hard for me to really get attached to my character and everything because I didn't understand the lore there, like what a wood elf is in that context, for example. Whereas in Tamriel, I have this background knowledge of lore and I understand what's going on in the world and everything, and it just makes it so much easier for me in particular. And I think that's why it's so fun playing with your group, Ark, and I'm just so looking forward to it. I can't wait to see where this goes. Yeah, with both Ophilia's group and with Solus's group.
So are you gonna stay in Tamriel from now on? Like, are natural ones gonna be rolling in Tamriel, or is it gonna be more like get in, get out type thing? Do you know? Or is it spoilers?
I actually don't know. Since like the majority of the group, if not all of the group, really was on board with the whole Oblivion Gate thing, I know we're at least gonna be there for a while. From what I can understand, I don't know if we're gonna stay there forever. Who knows? It's all up to Solus, really.
All right, I'm excited, honestly.
I am too. I can't wait.
Let's see what you guys do in Tamriel, and you know, if you guys are as chaotic and disgruntled as our poor non-operating
with Jibs' character Flick and with Champ's character Sir Gott, if they get drunk again, Jesus.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Tamriel is famous with its meads, so...
And then, I swear Jibs gets high rolls on everything that is not rogue stuff. So, he can easily roll to pants someone and roll an intimidation check so high that it makes the guard pee himself. But whenever it comes to sneaking into an encounter... he just pops out in the middle of everybody and we're all dead.
Yep. That or like picking a lock. Like, come on. How many locks has he failed to pick?
All of them? Has he had a successful lock pick?
Maybe one.
But he can pants a guard like nobody's business, and it's great. And he's just like, oh, I pants him. I'm like, you do what?
Wait, what? Oh, no.
But it's been so fun, and I can't wait to see like where the story goes with Tamriel now that we're completely out of the book, just threw the book in the air. Apparently, it's gonna be a fun time. I'm really excited for it. But yeah,
I mean, if you guys happen to be on ESO time as well, maybe our characters, I don't know, maybe DMs will decide to cameo our characters in other campaigns.
We might have to mention something to Ophelia and Solus.
Yeah, just like.
Drop a hint.
Yeah.
That would be a big old session.
Yeah.
No. We are not even gonna actually play. It's just that our characters as NPCs will appear in your campaign, and your characters as NPCs will. I mean, 10-player 2 DMs. That would be.
Yeah, could you imagine the coordination for something like that? Good lord.
That would be torture for Solus and Ophelia, I feel like.
I will say, if I do encounter your character as an NPC, my druid is going to have lots of questions for how your character is now one with the plants.
It's true.
Look, I turned into... It's a very simple answer. I got turned into a tomato. I mean, it's a druid should understand. The druid should know better.
I feel like the druid and your character will very much bond over that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
Sure, and Wilhelm
I don't know.
will be
I might
good friends.
multi-class Wilhelm into a druid. Who knows?
That would be hilarious. You should.
It's good motivation to do so.
I'll just drink meat and talk to trees, I guess. Which kind of makes me an
Talk to all the
Argonian.
squirrels.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, why
he's
not?
the plant-based druid because he
I'm
didn't turn into a
plant-based,
squirrel,
not
he turned into a
animals.
tomato.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the lettuce you'll talk to.
Yeah.
Yes. Salads make him cry.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens next episode. Well, tomorrow, basically. Yeah. More tales about our D&D adventures in Elder Scrolls next week, I suppose. So, Lotus.
Yeah, that's all for me.
All
all I
right.
was gonna say.
Lotus, what about you?
Okay.
You know
so
what? Never
I
mind. You don't have
actually-
Battlespire tales.
It's true.
No.
I don't have Battlespire news.
You don't get to
So-
say tales this time.
I was the main thing that I want to point out because I'm super excited about it, and I prior to this didn't really ever shut up about it. My ESO chair arrived. Cameras are backwards. That I got my ESO chair from Noble Chairs, and I
That
love
thing
it.
looks sweet.
It's super awesome. It's very comfortable. Yes, they're not cheap. But one of the things which is super awkward, and normally this would be a downer, and it was kind of a roller coaster when it arrived. But I actually have tails around the chair, which some people actually, it's kind of funny. As Steve brings it up, some people were curious why I had a pretty lengthy delay on me showing the box in my original tweet and basically not showing it built for almost an entire day. And this is the chair tales for this week, where to start with, I was waiting around. They sent me a message and were like, your Noble chair's en route. I'm like, oh my God, it's actually en route. Sweet. And it was supposed to come on well, first of all the mailing was wrong. It was like, it'll arrive June 6th. And I'm like, well, okay, that makes sense because the 5th was an observed holiday for a lot of things. And I wake up that morning and I get an email and it says, your Noble chair is en route. I'm like, wait, what? And it says, it should be delivered sometime today before, closing. It basically, it said between 9 and 6 p.m. today, it will arrive on June 6th, Monday, June 6th. I'm like, there is no Monday, June 6th. June 6th is Tuesday, and Monday is June 5th. So both of these dates are incorrect. I don't know what this means. It's like, so is it en route or not? Like, I don't
That does
actually...
not breed confidence.
Right. So it's like, well, the initial email said it would be on the 6th. This one's saying it's just shipped today, which is the 6th, but it's actually the 5th. I was like, oh boy. So did I check the year? So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just assume that it shipped, which was a little annoying because I was like, man, between 9 and 6, that's worse than Comcast hours. All right, like, fine. I have to just be of it. They will not drop it off without a signature. And I even checked with them at FedEx, and under no circumstances will they drop this product off without it being signed for, because they're like, it is too expensive. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I live essentially straight up like the up Rothgar. Like, nobody's coming up here to steal squat. Like, it's not going to happen. You can just leave it. And they're like, we can't leave it. We need a signature. I was like, whatever. Okay. I need to be around for this thing. So I'm waiting around, and I was making lunch or something like that. And I happen to just see out on the side of my window that a FedEx truck drives down the street. And I'm like, oh, they're in my neighborhood. Like, this will be a great gauge on like if it's here or not. And they're gone for a while. And I'm like, oh, maybe they're just delivering other stuff. But I'll just stay near the door. And, we've got the security system, so it'll beep if somebody's here or whatnot. And I get this weird feeling while I'm cooking my lunch that I'm like, they're going to screw this up. And I'm going to be annoyed that they screwed this up. So I look outside, and for whatever reason, it was a great time to look outside because they are at my neighbor's house trying to deliver my chair. And I'm like, they're not going to sign for something that's not theirs. So I threw on my shoes and sprint out the front door. Boots goes on high alert because she's like, we're under attack. Like, so she's freaking out. And I run down the hill and I'm like waving my arms as this dude has got the thing back on the dolly and he's loading it back in the truck. And I was like, you're at the wrong house, like screaming down the street. And the dude looked up horrified. I was like, that package is mine.
Oh my God.
Now, on top of this, I want to remind everyone,
this probably looked.
Lotus is sort of a giant as well. Imagine this. How tall are you? 6 foot something?
I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm not like crazy tall, and I'm thin-ish, but like
a 6 foot guy with like beard and everything, just running down the street, screaming at you.
So yeah, so and the dude just kind of stopped. He's like, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah, you're at the wrong house." And I see him look down at his pad and look up at me. He goes, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, let me drive it over to your place then," because he's like, "This thing is heavy, man." I was like, "Yeah, I know what it." So he drives up, he puts it on the dolly, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's time for this," or whatever. He's like, "Oh, really sorry." He's like, "It's weird." He was like, "The GPS put me here. I didn't think to like double check the numbering when it was like telling me." I was like, "It's fine. It happens all the time." I was like, "I just was looking for it or whatever." So he's like, "All right, well, here you go. Here's the thing." And this thing's wheeling up the driveway and I'm looking at it and I was like, dude, this box has been to war. Like, it literally looks like they took it, put it in the back of the truck and then fired the truck off a mountain.
They gave it the like box, Ace Ventura treatment.
There's like tire tracks on it. It's just straight up ripped. Like the box is just cut in different pieces. It's like torn apart. It literally looks like somebody used it as a shield in combat. And I'm like, this is a little unnerving. But like I opened the box up and that was where I took the first picture, was just like the boxing. So I like opened the thing up and the thing weighs a ton for a chair. I was like, okie dokie, this is pretty sturdy. But I opened the thing up and it's nice and well packaged or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I take out the supply parts box and I sent the picture to Pylon from UESP because he was getting a play-by-play as he has unfortunately not been able to get one because Canada. And as I pick the thing
vicariously through you at this point.
Yes. So I pick up the box and it literally falls apart in my hand and all the parts fall out.
God.
Oh no.
I'm like, what happened to this thing in transit? Like, I don't understand. So I scoop
Something horrible has happened here.
So I scoop up the parts and I bring all the pieces upstairs, which Boots was obviously helping and definitely not getting in the way constantly. And I start putting it together. And I realize that it's damaged. Like, just actually damaged. Like, the back of my chair is actually split along the seam. Like, it's just straight up cracked and busted open. So stuffing is coming out. Like, and I was like, these things are non-existent. I cannot fathom how I'm going to get another one of these. Like, and so, yeah. And I was like, wow. I was like, talk about as hyped as possible to very unhyped very quickly. So I did not give a follow-up post because I did not originally plan on having the chair be built. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Like, I'm not. So I messaged their support team. And to their credit, they got back to me within like a couple hours on an observed holiday. And I sent them a picture and I was like, is this like intentional because it's a zipper? And I was like, is there something I'm missing? Like, is there a hidden zipper here and I'm just not seeing it? Am I just being stupid? And they're like, oh my God, no, you're not. They were like, that's got to be like an impact thing that would have busted a seam like that. They were like, give me 3 minutes. And I was like, okay, like on Discord. And they're like, all right, could you just do me a favor and give me your information real quick? So I give him my information in like a private DM. And he's like, all right. He's like, we're really sorry for the inconvenience on this. This is that sucks, because they were like, you clearly built the chair. It looks super nice. They were like, but that was not your fault. It was something in transit. I was like, yeah, so what do I do with this? They were like, oh, you don't do anything. I've already requested an order for a brand new back sent to your chair.
Oh, nice.
He was like,
That's awesome.
he was like, this, you don't have to send that one back. He's like, just take it off, do whatever. He's like, he's like, we can't do anything with it, and that's really not your problem. He's like, so you've
slap
got a new
duct
back
tape on it
incoming.
and send it to Pylon.
Yeah.
Besides, I'm fairly certain the reason it looks like it was gone through war is Pylon probably tried to snatch it like 25 times during transit at different locations.
He came to America,
sent assassins
Hired
after
a
it,
little
you know.
band of bandits.
So on that note, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is pretty cool. And so I don't have to do anything. He's like, no, you don't have to do anything. He's like, shipping it. He's like, I feel bad that it's even going to take this long to get to you. It will probably come out with the August shipment of the chairs, but he's like, the order's already been placed. You don't have to do anything else. You're just going to get a brand new back to the chair. He's like, does the chair still like work other than that? Is that the only defect? I was like, actually, the chair's incredibly comfortable. It's just when I'm paying this much for a chair, I don't want any defects. He's like, totally get that. That's not really what you're paying for.
How much was it? 500?
$500.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So compared to your previous chair, how much of an increase
my
in
previous one? My previous chair was $450.
Okay, so
'Cause I need
almost
to-
similar prices. How is the comfort level changed, basically?
I like this one better, actually.
Okay.
I think I actually, funny enough, my wife does not. She's like, this one's too big. I was like, well, I like that.
Well,
'cause
yeah,
I'm
for
not
you.
5'1".
So if Allison does want a gamer chair, I am 5'1", and I was able to get the Secret Lab throne, which is, it goes from like 4 foot whatever to 5'3" is the max height. And it fits me like a regular person.
Okay.
It is comfortable. And I got it during the Christmas sale for $294.
Oh, that's not bad.
Because since this chair is for very small women and children and doesn't sell as well as their others, it's really cheap compared to the other Secret Lab chairs.
Yeah, it was much cheaper than mine.
It's great
On the
because it's
same
just
sale.
like with shoes, I can sometimes get away way cheaper because I can fit into child sizes.
Oh, I remember you saying that once before.
Yeah, so I can get like a pair of Converse for $30 instead of $60.
Yeah,
because I can fit into kid
That's pretty
sizes.
handy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So Allison can use my life hack.
So one of the things that I like about the chair, and SD brought it up, it actually has, instead of a back pillow, it actually has a built-in dial where you adjust the pressure you want on your back support.
Those are nice.
That's fancy.
Which is really nice. And yeah, the extra size is handy for me, just because like it's just a little more roomy, so I like it more. And yeah, so the replacement one is coming en route, but it still chairs for the time being. So I held off for all the people who thinks that, you know, we get to white knight a lot of companies. One of the things that I joked about was the response I got from Noble determined what my follow-up post was going to be. Hence why it took so long before I took a picture of everything. And because I was like, well, I will either say thank you or I will tell you exactly what I think if I get treated like crap here. And I cannot really be much more impressed with how Noble handled that. Like, they were super nice about it. They tried to make everything as simple as possible. And needing to wait a little bit for something like that, it's like that's not even in their control to an extent. Like shipping sucks. Like it's still a problem. And so the fact that, you know, nothing more is done on my part and they sent it out to me and got back to me quickly, I was very happy with their service. So I was like, well, I love the chair, so I will take some photos. And I actually kind of just pinned the seat thing a little bit so that I could take pictures, and it didn't have it's not massive, so it's like that's how I took the pictures of it or whatever. So I was like, well, whatever, it's still chairs, it's super comfortable. So I felt comfortable saying that I was happy with the product because again, they gave me reason to be happy with them. So for a bad situation, was really, really happy with what happened. So shout out to Noble. I love the chair. If you can get one, I definitely recommend it. Yeah, it's so far the quality definitely seems worth it. It is definitely a luxury item, but one that is pretty nice if you can manage to get one. And I've been really enjoying everybody else's pictures of them and everything else. I mean,
price point wise, if you think about it, it's an item that you use for several years, every day for several hours of your life. So
correct.
It's worth the investment.
That's the
same thing when I
is-
bought my Secret Labs one, especially since I work from home and my desk is in the other room. I can roll my nice chair over there, like sit all day at work, and then I sit all day and play video games.
Yeah,
I will spend $1,000 on a chair if it's going to make my lower back feel better.
Yeah,
exactly. So like, yeah, big fan of it. And very, very pleased with the following up customer service. So, you know, I'm glad to see that something that was concerning that all that went to shit real quick. I was like, I'm glad that in the end it just ends up being just wait for a little bit. So #ad. Yeah, pretty much. I was going to say at the moment, I would definitely say sponsored, but you want to sponsor me, Noble? That's fine. I like the chair. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm
nothing on the stream is sponsored, but
yeah,
if anyone out there,
but if
wants
you want,
if you want, and actually,
I'm open to the idea.
To the several people when I did post it on social media of my setup. I really appreciate, like, I know everybody always jokes Twitter's a hellscape, blah, blah, blah. To all of the people who either I'm friends with and DM'd me or people that I just met via the post because Noble retweeted my setup and everything like that, you were all super, super nice that you asked if there was a sponsor link that you could use so that I could get kickback. That was like really cute of everybody. I don't, because I don't have a sponsorship with them, but that was very flattering. Like that several people were actually ordering from them and asked if I had an affiliate link. So that was just very nice of everybody that did that. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else in the community does use theirs. If they do, but it's just the thought from people that did ask that was, I really appreciated that was asked. That was very nice of all of you that did that. That were ordering chairs after my post. So, yeah. But yeah, so there was that. The reason I don't have any Battle Spire Tales is because since the last show, it was Mid-Year Mayhem. I'm sorry. That's just not. I wanted my AP. I mixed bag on this Mid-Year Mayhem, as many people probably got the impression from some of my tweets. I did have fun. Talked a bunch to people in the community about different problems with Mid-Year Mayhem that I definitely encountered. I played a lot more Battlegrounds this Mid-Year Mayhem. I got to my 4th star. I did not get to my 5th star. So unfortunately, I am not a Grand Overlord, but I got to my Overlord, or I have no idea what the
slightly
whatever.
Less
I'm a
grand.
4-star general. Like, there are a couple issues that I have with the freeform campaigns that I guess I never really have noticed have been this much of an issue until recently. And it's mainly that they're riddled with boosters. And the abdicating your emperorship, look, it's in the game, so I'm not going to give people crap for abdicating because that's a thing you can totally do. That just messes everything up. They really shouldn't have that. There was a lot of discussion when I did post that. That wasn't even like a boosting thing or whatever that I meant that to mean. But one big problem that it just killed the flow of so many campaigns, because one of the campaigns I was in, Ebonheart Pack crowned an emperor, and the emperor was like, peace out, everybody. And we're like, please do not abdicate while you're still emperor. Like, at least get dethroned. Like,
so what happens when you abdicate?
You're gone. You're deleted from the leaderboards. You're just gone.
At least go kill some people with the buffs.
What happens to the emperorship when the emperor abdicates?
It is locked to an account that doesn't exist. And they need to be hypothetically dethroned in order for a new emperor to be crowned.
Oh, okay.
So you lose your alliance's buffs because you don't have an active emperor because they're no longer in the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And until your side is dethroned, the person in first place, if they're trying to push for emperor, has to take a knee on purpose and let the other alliances truck us until they take back emperorship or just dethrone them.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's silly.
It's dumb
like
that it works like that. Mainly because it became, and this is what I had the problem with, was because I'm a big fan of alliance locking because it prevents people, like it keeps people more invested in the campaigns, because otherwise people just flip flop back and forth. And it's like, it's whatever. You don't need alliance pride or anything like that. But it's just like when you can flip flop back and forth, it's kind of weird that you're in a Zerg with somebody and then 5 minutes later they're defending the keep you're attacking. I'm like, okay, what the hell is happening? Like, why is everybody doing this? And the issue became, we had a group who decided that, well, it turns out they were actually blue. So I won't even crap on AD for this one. This happened to be a Daggerfall thing in this specific instance. They're normally Daggerfall. They're going to defend Shaman for all it's worth. Just, nope. Nobody's taking Shaman Keep. So the rest of our team is like, please let them dethrone because we can't crown an emperor until this one's dethroned. And they're like, oh, way to be an AD spy or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, this is just two people just arguing at each other. Either one, because they're just being dicks, or two, some people did not understand. They were like, why would we let the other team just take our positions? We're like, no, we need them to take it so that we can crown an emperor. They're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. We don't have an emperor right now. And I'm like, I can't explain this anymore because the system shouldn't exist. So that was kind of where my gripe came from. Yeah. Because then they just held Chalman and the other two teams got bored of fighting Chalman. So they just trucked us to our main gate because everybody's just holding Chalman. So we don't have an emperor and we're gated because we have one keep in the middle of fucking nowhere. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst. Yikes. So yeah, so that campaign was junk. And to Slap's point, Greyhost for the win. The problem is the Greyhost queue. I did get into Greyhost twice. A lot of times I would dual queue. I'd queue for one thing and also keep a queue for Greyhost. I played for 3.5 hours before I got through a Greyhost queue at like 2 a.m. So like, there's just no getting into Greyhost on PS4. Just straight up nope. It's just too busy. So I had to play these other campaigns, and one of the ones, it's from the Xbox side. So I got to see it thanks to Dog. He was showing me some of the scores in one of their thing, and he's like, dude, what even is this? People were posting like 83 million AP and stuff like that because they would just force people into low pop, then just keep flip back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth ad nauseum for dozens of hours with low pop bonus. I'm like, this is so lame.
That's like
this is
borderline an exploit. Like that's it's so lame.
And that's my problem is I always say if it's in the game, there's only so much I can complain about it. So fix the problem is usually the answer. But that doesn't make any of this not super lame. And it just really, every server I went on to, it was more of this. And it's like, I don't have this weird righteous thing where it's like, well, you were an emperor the right way, grind for 79 hours. It's like, whatever, man. Like, if I got emperor, I played for 4 hours and I was like, I've been awake for over a day. I want to go to bed. That's what I want to do. Like, I had fun going to sleep now. Whoever's in second place, knock yourself out. Like,
well, and the problem is too, like, emperor just doesn't really mean anything anymore anyway.
It does
you just want it to get the throne, to get the
which I totally
outfit,
get. Like, it's super cool. Like, and then you get the achievement. Like, totally get it. Like, I get it. But then it makes it a mess in so many of these things with these exploitable other things. Which at that point, I'm just saying, I wish the game would make these not exploitable in this way because it's lame.
Essentially, it's the developers. ZeniMax Online as a whole, not just the like software side, but ZeniMax Online's job to fix that. That's on them to handle this situation.
Find a
not
workaround.
The player base.
Yeah. So like it was not as much fun this time because again the griefing was very annoying. We had another point where we had low pop bonus, which is a population buff. You get double XP. Or double AP, sorry, when you have like a shockingly low amount of players on your side in a server, which as a feature is already kind of peculiar because it counts toward leaderboard standings. So if you just play at times when there's low pop, somebody who plays at times when there isn't low pop literally can never catch you. It's just like it's whatever. That's a whole topic for another day. But whenever we would get low pop, a group, I don't know what was this event with Daggerfall, they would leave their alliance and idle in our home gate just so we couldn't have low pop on an Heart Pact. So they weren't even playing to get points. They were playing to make other people have less fun. And I'm like, the level of just spitefulness between players is like, they just sat in their home gate and complained that EP wasn't doing anything. And we actually had people just staring at them. Like they were literally just walking in circles so they wouldn't like idle out of the game and just be like, EP sucks, EP sucks, EP sucks. I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And then anytime that DC would push, suddenly they were all on DC again. I'm like, okay, so they're literally just preventing us from getting points. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like these are the objectives. I was like, this is interesting. So it's just like, I don't know. It was a very strange mid-year mayhem. So I ended up diving into a lot more battlegrounds than I intended. Got some decent achievements out of there. I still am bad at battlegrounds, but we had some fun with it. The theory that I'm very bad at getting last hits was really on display in a game where I went 5-5 with 16 assists and did 1.1 million damage for 5 friggin' kills because I can never hit the last shot on that. And that was a bit depressing because as a non-damage dealer, I mean, I ran a damage build for that. That's how I did that. The other the other battleground that I did want to kind of bring up we always rip on pugs. Everybody rips on pugs because you never know what you're going to get when you've just got a random group of people. I have never been so impressed with a set of pugs as I was in this one mid-year mayhem. The video clip is too long for Twitter. I actually might just post it to my YouTube. It was 3 of us as damage dealers, and we had a healer. And they were probably one of the greatest healers in PvP that has ever existed. Okay. Because we went up into I don't remember the name of the map, but it's the one with it's the outside garden. You can teleport to this center platform, and then there's like this little shrine that kind of goes up a flight of stairs. Mm-hmm. We go to the center platform. Everybody runs up to the flight of stairs, and the other two teams follow us. And what proceeded was 3 minutes of us just all basically teeing off on each other with our healer at the back wall. And we wiped both other sides, and they came back, and we wiped the other two sides, and they came back, and we wiped the other two sides, and it just devolved into healing. And this dude kept me up through Colossus is hitting me and just everything under the sun. And just, I've never seen such ridiculous healing. I think at the end of the match, he had 2.1 million hit points healed or something ridiculous for our side when you looked at his stats. It was unreal. We won by a landslide on our side. So I was just like,
healers are definitely game changers in Battlegrounds.
Really and everybody, we weren't on mic either. It was all done just through. Everybody saw what the other person was doing and made the best of it. So it was just a lot of fun. That was a super fun Battleground. And then the only other thing, which I had people there, and this is kind of like my last mid-year mayhem tale of any merit, just because I don't like to, and people always like me suffering in games more than succeeding in games. As an achievement junkie, there is one Cyrodiil specific achievement I do not have. And that is to kill the person wielding Volendrung. Not kill somebody with Volendrung. I've done that before.
Yeah.
It's like Volendrung Vanquisher or something like that. And more often than not, Volendrung is covered in a total Zerg of whoever. And I join a 7-day server because I was kind of server hopping a bunch during the event until I could get in like a good server. But I go in and we're gated. We're just gated. It is what it is. And as we're leaving the gate, the hammer drops. And I'm like, ooh, okay, where's the hammer? And it's 5 inches in front of us. I'm like, okay, so it's on our side. So he grabs, or some random grabs the hammer, and hammer runs forward and is like, hammer looking for group. Nobody will group with this guy because nobody groups in Cyrodiil anymore because of the 12-person limit. And yeah, it's not happening. Nobody will pick this dude up. So I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to follow this guy because if he's roaming solo, he's going to die. And when he dies, I'm going to jump whoever picks up this fucking hammer and I'm going to get my kill. So I've got like all of my stuff procced up and I'm stealthing around, and he walks into battle. This dude is like CP, I don't know, 50 something. Like he is new. And he walks out and just behind a tree, AD jumps him, murders him in one shot. And I'm like, yes. Sorry, dude, you were my target. So I'm hiding in a shrub, and Delta's hanging out with me, and he's like, all right, I'll even CC him, and you can jump him. So you get your unleashed on him, and you waiting for it. And this AD person is just staring at the hammer. Nobody's in the field, he's just staring at the hammer. I'm like, pick up the damn hammer. Like, I can't kill you if you don't pick up the hammer. He's just staring at the hammer. I'm like, what is going on? Is this a joke? And at this point, I was glad that it wasn't just me, because Delta's like, why isn't he picking up the hammer? I'm like, I don't know. He won't pick up what is going on? Why won't he get this hammer? And then all of a sudden I see this blue guy come up over the hill. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Now we're going to have a tri-faction fight. Somebody just pick up the stupid hammer so I can jump you. And blue guy goes over to it, sees the yellow guy. Yellow guy goes invisible. Blue guy walks over to the hammer, backs away from the hammer. I'm like, will somebody please pick up the death weapon? That will totally swing everything in your advantage. Somebody touch the stupid hammer. Yellow guy jumps out, starts fighting the blue guy. These two are just going at it now. I'm like, is this a joke? Like, somebody pick up the super weapon. What is happening? They're teeing off on each other. Neither of them are dying. Yellow guy's kind of got an advantage. Blue guy disengages. Another blue guy comes up. I'm like, okay, grab the friggin' hammer and help your stupid friend and then I'm going to jump you in the back. Runs over, runs right by the hammer, and starts teeing off on the yellow guy. I was like, this cannot be happening. How is nobody picking up this stupid hammer? Like, what is going on? And at this point, a red guy comes over, grabs the hammer. He's like, I really can't understand what's going on. This dude just gets destroyed immediately. Like, no chance in hell. Doesn't know what to do with the hammer, gets killed. I'm like, okay, well, it's back down. What are they going to do? Blue team's decided, nope, we're still going for this yellow guy. So they're just fighting the yellow guy, and the yellow guy is just defending against the two of them. And Delta and I are sitting there like, this is a joke. Like, what do we do here? And Delta's approach was, he's like, maybe I can lure them onto the hammer because I don't care if I live. So he comes out of stealth and basically runs on the hammer and is jumping up and down on it like, oh, I'm totally going to get it. I'm totally going to get it. You should get over here and try to take it from me. And they all stop fighting each other and bum rush Delta and then go back to fighting each other. Nobody touches the hammer. I'm like, this cannot be happening. Like, I have never seen the hammer not have anything happen on it for so long. And I'm like, this is unreal. And then a bunch of AD come up over the hill. I'm like, of course they do. I was like, well, I just got to get one of them to grab it because I don't need to get out of this alive. I just need this stupid hammer kill. They run onto it. One of them grabs the hammer. I proc up. I jump out and Dragon Leap. And my game freezes.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
And I come back from the lag spike and I'm dead, totally down at a different portion of the map.
Oh
I'm like,
my God.
okay, cool.
That
I was like, amazing.
This reminds me of Battlespire.
That's why I figured everybody would at least enjoy this.
Yep.
So I threw myself at the hammer the rest of the time, but at this point there was like a 40-man Zerg. Several things upon being cripplingly depressed from this situation, I realized, one of which was no idea why the blue team just wouldn't touch this fucking hammer. Like, that will never make sense to me. But I did understand in the end what the yellow team wouldn't do. It was the Emperor who apparently came to our home gate to just kill the hammer guy and then just stand around the hammer and not actually, because he can't pick it up. So the yellow dude was incapable of getting the hammer, and the blue team doesn't like winning, apparently. So they didn't want the hammer. So all of that did not amount to me getting a hammer kill. It amounted to me getting killed in an incredibly frustrating way, which all of that transpired in about 15 minutes, where the hammer barely did anything because it basically despawned shortly thereafter because it spent so much time just untouched on the battlefield. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it was
okay, I absolve you of your sins of not having Battlespire tales for us this week.
It was mind-boggling, but
this was just good enough.
Yeah, so I still don't have my hammer kill. Don't know how I'm ever supposed to get that thing when I have people. I'm like basically rolling out the red carpet and making sure that it has plenty of like stick them on the handle so they can really hold on to it extra tight, and people still won't pick the damn thing up. So yeah, that was pretty much. I figured I would end on a tragic mid-year tale since I didn't have any Battlespire and I couldn't manage to figure out how to get the only achievement out of that I aimed for, really, other than my 5-star general. So not the most constructive mid-year this time. I still had fun. It was still fun. I still liked it, but it was just a little more frustration, be that ridiculous nonsense, or just in general, a lot of the actions people were doing on my team. So,
Well, hopefully next time.
Yeah. Well, once beginning year, mid-year mayhem comes around, I'll have to try again.
The non-mid-year mayhem. Well, I don't have tales from Elder Scrolls because I've been addicted on Fallout 76. Plus, we all been sort of yawning at this point with time getting super late. So we are gonna reach the end of the show now. So, Bron, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at BronSolo22 and on Twitch the same, BronSolo22.
There you go. Lotus.
I am Lotus of Doom on Twitch and Twitter as well. Nice and easy to find. Provided everything works out, I will be playing Battlespire tomorrow, which would be Sunday. I usually go live around like 3-ish p.m., but I'm terrible at schedules, so I'll aim for something like that. But yeah, hopefully I get some time to play tomorrow because I had my time off. I recovered from my immense frustration before. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm never going to beat it if I never play it.
This is true.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. You miss every shot you don't take, they say.
Exactly. And I mean, in general, every shot's a miss in Battlespire anyway.
That's very fair.
Pixie.
You can find me on Twitch at HyperPixie Gaming and on Twitter at HyperPixie Games.
There you go. Well, follow all these amazing people. They do a lot of Elder Scrolls stuff. So if you follow the show, these people are people you should follow. Bron, it was great having you. Thank you for making the time.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
thank you for
Thanks
having
for
that
having
AD
me.
flag in the back.
Extra thank you from me for sharing
Yeah.
your AD flag. So we have 2 of them on the show.
I mean,
That's
nobody's
true.
perfect.
But if you ever want to hop on again, let us know. Jump on in. We now
Yeah,
have a
anytime.
4-camera overlay setup, so might as well use it, you know?
There you go.
Well, that and it was nice to have a DPS perspective for
Exactly.
some of our...
Yeah.
That-
Because out of
that's-
the 3 of us, no one knows how to DPS.
Yeah, we have a healer, 2 tanks, and even when Ag joins, he's a sexplar, and then
Yeah.
Promethean plays at least everything when he's able to
Yeah.
join. So like you're all in on DPS. So it's like
Yeah,
that's
the only DPS I have not hit 95k plus on is a Magden.
yeah.
Dang.
See,
The only one I've never done.
I did 10k DPS when I tried to DPS.
There you go.
Right there with you, Ark. I think I was proud of like my 19K at one point.
Better than nothing.
yep.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it got
whittle
me
it
through
down.
normal Vateshran, and I got my great sword, so I'm happy. That was
There
that
you
was
go.
all I need. You can follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, and you can catch us live over at twitch.tv/Arkaniir's Quest. On the website, you can find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Discord, and a bunch of other stuff, as well as our other shows. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork if you want to help support the show. And consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we're a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes, although rarely, they matter. Thank you all so very much for joining on this episode of Tales of Tamriel, and we will see you all next week. Have a great night, everyone.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magicka fused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.